Chapter 51. The most bustling place on the star web would always be the Star Tower. When Lin Yuan was near the Star Tower, he could feel how flourishing the star web was as the Radiance Federation's second world. When Lin Yuan arrived at the entrance of the Star Tower, he couldn't help but lament at what he had seen and heard along the way. The phase he had seen along the way were all virtual data copied into the star web. However, the pressure that came from the high-grade phase aura couldn't be faked. In order to climb the Star Tower, one had to register. Of course, such registration wasn't required every time one climbed the tower. Only those who were climbing the tower for the first time would need to register. The main purpose of registering on the star web was to record the Spirit Chi professional's grade and the strength of the contracted phase. The information would then be used to generate data, and when climbing the tower, the data would be used to generate a virtual projection. In the real world, it was very difficult for Spirit Chi professionals to wantonly fight. If they wantonly fought, one side might get injured, or even both sides might suffer. When high-ranked Spirit Chi professionals fought with all their might, they might not be able to control the phase and cause injuries. The Star Web just happened to make up for this. The Star Web's duel was like a complete copy of the Spirit Chi professionals and phase information. The pain and touch during the duel were no different from the real world. However, even if they were killed in the Star Web duel, the Spirit Chi professionals and phase wouldn't suffer any injuries or deaths in the real world. The Star Tower's existence might be able to bring glory to those who climb to the higher floors. However, it was more of a training for the Spirit Chi professionals and phase cooperation, as well as the grasp of combat techniques. The dual rule for the first 100 floors was to randomly match challengers on the same floor. The winner would ascend to the next floor, and the loser would descend to the next floor. When climbing to the 100th floor, there would be a celestial stairway trial, which was also known as the promotion duel. The promotion duel would randomly match 3 challengers who were also participating in the promotion duel. Only after 3 consecutive victories would one be able to step onto the celestial stairway. If one lost, there would be no hope of ascending to the celestial stairway. If 2 lost, not only would one not be able to maintain the 100th floor, but they would also drop to the 99th floor. If 3 lost, they would drop to the 98th floor. If they wanted to climb up to the promotion duel, they would have to fight to the 100th floor again. The rules of climbing the tower were very simple. But during the process of climbing the tower, there was a possibility of being matched with Spirit Chi professionals who were unlucky and had lower floors but were actually very strong. Such a person was known as the Star Tower's goalkeeper. Everyone who climbs the Star Tower yearns to ascend the heavenly stairway, because only those who can ascend the heavenly stairway can be called a powerhouse of the Star Tower. Such experts were known as the Sanctuary Division. Since it was Lin Yuan's first time participating in the Star Tower climb, he could only obediently register his identity. The Star Tower's identity registration was different from the others. The Star Tower's identity registration information was completely bound to the Star Web card. In other words, every Radiance Federation citizen could only use their real identity to participate in the Star Web Tower climb. There were plenty of unions in the Radiance Federation that would use large amounts of resources and high salaries to sign up Spirit Chi professionals. All the major guilds had formed teams to participate in some large-scale competitions. Those duelists with high potential in the upper echelons of the Star Web would become the main recruitment targets of these guilds. After entering the Star Tower's newcomer registration room, Lin Yuan saw that it was very quiet. There was only a young man who was flipping through a book related to phase. When he saw Lin Yuan enter, the young man kept the book and said to Lin Yuan, "Newcomer, hurry up and fill up the form. After filling up the form, I will bring you to enter the information." After speaking, the young man swiftly placed the form on the table for Lin Yuan. Afterward, he looked at Genius and Chimey on Lin Yuan's shoulders with great interest. He then looked at Genius and Chimey on Lin Yuan's shoulders with interest, and said, "These 2 phase of yours look rather good. I didn't expect for there to be low-grade phase that I can't recognize. I didn't expect there to be a low-grade spirit beast that I can't recognize." Genius had evolved from the 100 Questions beast. Chimey had evolved from a soundbird. Chimey had evolved from the soundbird. Right now, one of the two little fellows was already a bronze thousand questions beast, and the other was already a bronze flowing cloud azure bird. No one had ever evolved the 100 questions beast or the soundbird to bronze grade. Therefore, these two fays were unique in this world, and no one would recognize them. Lin Yuan swiftly submitted his written personal information. The young man took a look and didn't see any problems. He then stood up and walked in front of Lin Yuan before saying, "Follow me." It might be a little troublesome to enter the information for the first time, but after entering the information for the first time, you will have a registration on the Star Web. It doesn't matter if you have an increase in your occupation grade, a new Fey, or an increase in the grade of the original Fey. You will be able to enter the information in the Star Web system. After the young man reminded Lin Yuan about the things to take note of and completed his job, he took out the book again. While walking, he was flipping through the pages carefully as though he was memorizing something. Lin Yuan took a look at the book's title and saw that it was related to the Junior Fey Observer exam. He then said, "Looking at this book, are you going to participate in the Junior Fey Observer exam?" The young man was startled as he didn't expect Lin Yuan, who looked young, to actually know the Junior Fey Observer exam scope. He looked at Lin Yuan with an astonished expression and said, "That's right. I'm going to take the Junior Fey Observer exam and prepare to participate in the Creation Master exam next month." When speaking, the young man had an extremely proud expression, and his tone was filled with confidence and flaunting. After Lin Yuan completed the information entry under the young man's guidance, he left. To this young man, what he needed the most right now was to learn about the Fey Observer, so Lin Yuan didn't continue to disturb him. Anyone who had the talent to take the Creation Master exam would be like a carp leaping through the Dragon Gate after passing the Creation Master exam. Even a Class 1 Creation Master would be revered and sought after no matter where they were. Lin Yuan had already entered Morbius, Genius, and Chimey's information. As for Red Thorn, it was currently a normal Fey and wasn't qualified to participate in the Star Web's battles. Therefore, Lin Yuan didn't enter Red Thorn's information. After entering the Star Tower's information, an identity card with Lin Yuan's registration information was generated. Name, Lin Yuan. Gender, male. Height, 178 cm. Weight, 61 kg. Star Tower floor, 0 spirit chi. Occupation, healing type. Professional. Occupation rank, decontracted Fey. Morbius, Elite 7/Epic, 1000 questions beast, Bronze 1/normal. Flowing Cloud Azure Bird, Bronze 1/normal. Duel record, 0 duels, 0 wins, 0 losses, highest floor, 0. While looking at his current identity card, Lin Yuan chose to hide all the other information apart from the Spirit Chi occupation that couldn't be hidden. As the Radiance Federation's second world, the Star Web's protection of privacy was even stronger than the real world. Now that his information was completely entered, Lin Yuan chose to enter the Star Tower's interior. Lin Yuan hadn't participated in the tower's battles yet and was just one of the countless people at the bottom of the Star Tower. After choosing the match, Lin Yuan was quickly matched with a duelist who was also at the bottom of the Star Tower. Lin Yuan was rather astonished when he saw the other party's information. The other party had actually fought 471 duels and had reached the Star Tower's third floor at the highest. Lin Yuan was afraid that the other party had already fought 471 duels and had reached the Star Tower's third floor. Otherwise, he wouldn't still be at the bottom of the Star Tower. There was no way to hide the duel record. Before the Star Tower duel, both parties would be able to see each other's duels. The old man in front of him was probably in his 80s, and half of his hair was already white. However, when he saw Lin Yuan's duel record, he laughed heartily and said, "This old man actually met a newcomer. This old man actually let this old man meet a newcomer. After I win this duel and climb to the first floor, I won't take the initiative to climb the tower anymore. This way, I can stay at the first floor for at least a month, and I can show off to old Lou next door for at least a month." The Star Tower was a trial that every Spirit Chi professional in the Radiance Federation had to participate in. In order to prevent Spirit Chi professionals from climbing to a certain floor due to luck, they would no longer participate in the Star Web duels in order to maintain their floor count. The star web's rules had a mandatory countermeasure. All duelists who climbed the tower would have to participate in a duel at least once a month. It was because of such rules that some lucky people wouldn't be able to maintain a floor count that didn't match their standards. Lin Yuan saw the old man summoning a normal gray beetle, and it was trembling as it rushed at him. Lin Yuan didn't know what to do for a moment. He originally wanted to greet the old man, but he didn't even have the chance to do so. Lin Yuan didn't even ask Chimey to release its ability. Instead, he asked Genius to rush forward and swing its 3 tails to knock the gray beetle to the ground. This old man obviously only had one contracted fey, and he immediately lost the duel. After losing the duel, the old man looked at Lin Yuan and couldn't hold back his anger. He immediately laid on the ground and wailed, "I am my old waist. Youngsters nowadays are really heavy-handed." Lin Yuan looked at the old man, who suddenly had a dramatic change in expression, and he awkwardly rubbed the back of his head. This old man should really participate in the drama queen's birth. When he saw the old man acting without any end, Lin Yuan said, "Uncle, this is the star web." "Sir, this is the star web. It'll be fine even if you sprain your back." When the old man heard that, he immediately jumped up and rolled his eyes at Lin Yuan. "Today's duel is considered your win. Back then, I was an expert that could take a crow on a plane and destroy a parking lot with a tornado. I'm not going to say any more. This old man is going to go home and eat the Xiong family's recipe." Lin Yuan's current battle record in the Star Tower showed that he was currently at the first floor of the Star Tower. Lin Yuan felt that this duel at the first floor was surprisingly easy, but this old man's amazing maneuvering was truly outstanding. In a spurt of energy, Lin Yuan continued to duel and quickly reached the 9th floor. When Lin Yuan reached the 9th floor, he finally encountered an opponent that was using an elite fey. The duel had just started, but the 2 elite feys, the yellow-spotted dog and the tusk-digging boar, were defeated by Chimey's sound thrust. Lin Yuan continued to climb the tower, and when he reached the 22nd floor, he finally encountered an opponent that was also using a bronze fey. Chapter 52. When Lin Yuan saw his opponent, he couldn't help but take a deep, cold breath. After looking at the opponent's information, Lin Yuan realized that the opponent was a 27-year-old power offense-class spirit chi professional called Huang Qinglin. In his personal information, the 3 bronze feys, poison fire python, river python, and acid mist python, were displayed without concealment. Lin Yuan was rather surprised by such honesty, but he didn't appreciate it. In a duel, it was a trump card to prevent the opponent from understanding the contracted phase. Rather than saying that he was exceptionally confident in himself, it would be better to say that he was too carefree and careless. There were some obvious restraints between feys. It was rare for there to be a comeback in a duel between feys that restrained each other. However, Huang Qinglin, who was on the 22nd floor, could indeed be considered an expert. He had the capital to be conceited. Just by looking at Huang Qinglin's record of reaching the 37th floor, it was obvious that Huang Qinglin was unlucky to reach the 22nd floor. Otherwise, even if he revealed all his phase information and lost the initiative, he wouldn't have been beaten to the 22nd floor. While Lin Yuan was looking at Huang Qinglin's information, Huang Qinglin was also looking at Lin Yuan's information. Before Lin Yuan could speak, Huang Qinglin spoke first. "Yo, from your record, you seem to be a newcomer. But why are you climbing the Star Tower when your phase are at bronze grade? Don't tell me you are an unregistered person, hiding your head and showing your tail, hiding all your information. But since you are a healing-type professional, I will let you prepare first before coming to die." While speaking, Huang Qinglin was very relaxed and shook his shoulders. The contractor's mental state could also affect the phase mental state. While Huang Qinglin was completely relaxed and nonchalant, the 3 bronze python species phase didn't assume an attacking posture like before. Instead, they circled around Huang Qinglin and prostrated, waiting for his orders. Lin Yuan didn't reply. As for Huang Qinglin's 3 bronze python species phase, Lin Yuan only had some understanding of the poison fire python. As for the river python and the acid mist python, Lin Yuan didn't have any understanding. As such, Lin Yuan ordered Genius to undergo tool transformation. Genius, who had transformed into a tool, immediately turned into a pair of glasses. Lin Yuan turned Genius into a pair of glasses and wore them on the bridge of his nose. When he looked at the poison fire python, acid mist python, and river water python, he immediately had a comprehensive understanding of these three python species' face. This understanding was different from the information obtained by using Morbius True Data. True Data was about the phase grade, quality, abilities, and exclusive skills. On the other hand, the knowledge that came with intelligence allowed Lin Yuan to understand this species' movement patterns, attack habits, and other knowledge that required accumulated experience. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly realized that after wearing the glasses that Genius had transformed into, he seemed to be able to see the weak points of the enemy phase defense. This weakness was that when observing the opponent's movements, they could easily calculate the defensive blind spots. If he attacked in that direction, the opponent would not be able to effectively defend himself. It was the same as when someone stretched out their hand to push forward, they would not be able to defend against the attack on their ribs. This discovery made Lin Yuan rather excited. When Huang Qinglin saw that Lin Yuan didn't reply or take any action, he said with some displeasure, "You're right. Hey, that unregistered immigrant, what are you putting on an act for? The only cat that looks like it has some offensive power has actually been transformed into a pair of glasses by tool transformation. What can that little bird of yours do? You are a healing-type professional. Don't tell me that little bird is going to make birds nest on the battlefield and give it to others to recover HP? Chami might not be able to speak after evolving to bronze grade, but it could understand Huang Chenglin's words. Chami was so angry that it was bouncing on Lin Yuan's shoulder and chirping as though it was quarreling with Huang Chenglin. At that moment, Lin Yuan said, "I am ready. I'm ready. We can begin." Lin Yuan commanded Chimi to charge at the poison fire python the moment he finished his statement. When the poison fire python saw Chimi charging over, it immediately spat out a bundle of poisonous flames. Lin Yuan immediately used the Jasmine Lily's heal ability and released it at Chimi. Chimi carried a stream of air and rushed into the flames with a swoosh. The powerful stream of air effectively helped Chimi resist the poisonous flames. Before the flames could burn Chimi, Chimi followed Lin Yuan's command and released turbulence. Turbulence would first form around Chimi because it was at the center of the poisonous flames. When turbulence was used, the poison fire python's poisonous flames would be dispersed by the turbulence. It just so happened that the acid mist python was spitting out its acid mist at Chimi. When the acid mist python's acid mist encountered the poisonous flames that were blown over by the turbulence, it immediately exploded. The poison fire python's poisonous flames weren't considered powerful, but the wind increased the intensity of the flames. When blown by the turbulence, the poisonous flames were at least 2 times bigger than before. When the poisonous flames encountered the acid mist, they exploded and spread along the acid mist. The raging poisonous flames were poured into the acid mist python's mouth. The acid mist python immediately twitched and rolled on the ground. It was obvious that it no longer had the ability to fight. When a Fae reached bronze grade, it would need to pay attention to strategy in combat, apart from the Fae's own strength. Huang Qinglin didn't expect his side to have such a bad start. The chaos during the battle had actually allowed his Fae to injure its own Fae. When looking at the twitching acid mist python on the ground, Huang Qinglin yelled at the poison fire python with a reproachful tone. "Poison fire python, spit the poisonous flames at that stupid bird again." However, before Huang Qinglin's command, Chimi had already let out a clear cry. Just as the poison fire python was about to open its mouth and spit the poisonous flames, 3 invisible sound thrusts had already nailed into the poison fire python's mouth. A single sound thrust might not be able to make the poison fire python lose its combat ability, but it would severely injure the poison fire python's mouth. But when the 3 sound thrusts struck on the top of the poison fire python's mouth, the poison fire python's fragile oral cavity was directly pierced by the sonic spike. leaving a small wound on the python's head. Such an injury immediately caused the poison fire python to lose its combat ability. At this moment, Chimy's spirit chi had already been depleted by more than half. He quickly used the spirit siphon goldfish's spirit injection to help Chimy recover a portion of its lost spiritual power. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint. Huang Qinglin suddenly realized that out of the 3 python species phase, only the river python was still able to fight. The heaven whose opening had resulted in the loss of 2 major combat strength due to his improper command. Huang Qinglin gritted his teeth and yelled at Lin Yuan, "If you have the capability, come and fight me head-on. Trickery is just the behavior of coward." Lin Yuan looked at Huang Qinglin as though he was looking at a deity. "Do you want a healing-type professional like me to compete with a power offense-type professional like you to see whose attack is stronger? Victory is the deciding factor in a battle. This isn't a game, and it isn't a competition of strength." Huang Qinglin suddenly let out a treacherous smile when Lin Yuan was speaking. "You fell for it." A water pillar suddenly shot out from the ground and rapidly crashed at Chimy. It was obvious that Huang Qinglin had already arranged for the river python to launch a sneak attack on Chimy when he was speaking. When Huang Qinglin saw that the sneak attack was successful, he shouted at Lin Yuan, "This isn't a game. Therefore, you should also understand what it means to be deceitful in war." Before Huang Qinglin could finish speaking, Lin Yuan snorted lightly. "Clear the skies." Following Lin Yuan's order, the cloud patterns on Chimy's azure blue feathers suddenly lit up. Chimy's cloud patterns emitted a ball of gentle light. The light was originally very gentle, but when it came into contact with the water column, it became scorching hot. A massive water column was instantly evaporated by Chimy's exclusive skill, Clear Sky. Rather than saying that the huge water column had completely evaporated, Lin Yuan felt that the water column had disappeared into the air when it came into contact with the light that had cleared up. Huang Qinglin was originally laughing maniacally, but this unexpected scene caused Huang Qinglin's mouth to open wide. It was as if he couldn't understand what was happening before his eyes. While Huang Qinglin was still in a daze, Chimy's turbulence had already taken control of the river water python. Chimy let out another clear cry, and the sound thrust ruthlessly nailed into the river water python's eye. Lin Yuan had naturally won this duel. Chimy's victory wasn't entirely due to its strength. A large part of the reason was that Lin Yuan had pointed out the weak points of the 3 python species phase based on the glasses that Genius had transformed into. Lin Yuan had gained a lot from this duel. At the same time, it was also the first time that Lin Yuan was in a disadvantageous position in a duel. Ignoring the defeated Huang Qinglin, Lin Yuan logged out of the star web after completing this duel and ascending to the 23rd floor. This duel had allowed Lin Yuan to find his shortcomings. He still had too few offensive means. If he were to encounter an opponent like Huang Qinglin with just Chimy, it would be very difficult to arrange a reasonable strategy to obtain victory if he didn't know the phase that the opponent possessed. After all, not all opponents would be as arrogant as Huang Qinglin and completely display all of their phase. If Lin Yuan wanted to quickly increase his offensive means, he could only do his best to nurture Red Thorn. It seemed like it wasn't enough to just feed Red Thorn the low-grade alien insect corpses. I have to think of a way to find some high-grade flesh to help Red Thorn rapidly evolve. For the past few days, Lin Yuan had spent 240 Radiance dollars in advance to purchase 3 drops of Gold Grey Dragon Beast Blood from Zhou Jessen. He was preparing to upgrade the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to Bronze Grade. This way, Morbius Grade would also be upgraded to Bronze Grade, and it would obtain a new exclusive skill. Lin Yuan arrived at the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone and looked at the massive and gorgeous dragon Spirit Siphon Goldfish in the Spirit Pool. He immediately took out a small water jar. He scooped out half of the Spirit Pool's water and placed the Spirit Siphon Goldfish inside. Lin Yuan upgraded the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to Elite X/Epic. Chapter 53. The 3 drops of Gold Grey Dragon Blood were in Lin Yuan's hand. Lin Yuan felt that these 3 drops of Dragon Beast Blood were like flowing mercury. Not only was it dense, but it also had a special luster that normal blood didn't have. Normally, blood that was placed in a sealed bottle would stain the walls of the bottle. However, this gold-gray dragon blood wouldn't stain the walls at all. When it was pouring, Lin Yuan could even feel the oppressive aura from the dragon blood. The spirit siphon goldfish was already at the juncture of evolution. When Lin Yuan circulated his spirit qi to break through that obstruction, the spirit siphon goldfish's body was undergoing a drastic change. When the 3 drops of gold-gray dragon blood entered the water, they didn't immediately fuse with the water. Instead, they were attracted by the faint dragon bloodline in the evolving spirit siphon goldfish. These 3 drops of advanced dragon blood entered the spirit siphon goldfish's body, which was constantly transforming. The instant the dragon blood entered its body, the spirit siphon goldfish's transformation became even more intense. All of a sudden, the spirit siphon goldfish seemed to have gone crazy and was violently smashing the water tank's walls. With each collision, a lot of blood would seep out from its scales and fuse into the water tank. When Lin Yuan saw the spirit siphon goldfish's madness, he could feel the pain it was suffering. After repeated collisions, even the fish scales were smashed and fell from its body. Lin Yuan might be feeling heartache for the spirit siphon goldfish, but he knew that this was a necessary process for the spirit siphon goldfish to awaken its dragon species bloodline. The most precious part of a dragon species fei was its blood. The concentration of dragon species blood in the body would also reflect the preciousness of a dragon species fei. The 3 drops of gold-gray dragon blood had activated the spirit siphon goldfish's thin dragon bloodline. He was undergoing a full-body blood exchange. The spirit siphon goldfish struggled in the water tank for 3 hours. Lin Yuan stared at it for 3 hours. The scales on the dragon spirit siphon goldfish's body were already like broken decorations hanging on its body. The scales were so broken that they didn't have any defense. The blood that flowed out of the spirit siphon goldfish's body didn't dissolve in the water anymore and formed a thin layer of protection on the surface of the spirit siphon goldfish's body. Lin Yuan knew that the spirit siphon goldfish's thin dragon species bloodline had been completely stimulated, and the blood exchange had been completed. Although the dragon spirit siphon goldfish's dragon species bloodline was still very weak, it was still a true dragon species fei. Lin Yuan circulated the spirit qi in his body and guided the spirit qi in the spirit siphon goldfish, which had awakened its bloodline. The evolution speed of the spirit siphon goldfish instantly sped up, and a layer of black scale armor gradually grew on its body. The scales that the spirit siphon goldfish had grown were completely different from the previous scales. The scales were as black as ink and had a pearl-like luster. The inner layer of each scale armor was surrounded by a faint layer of dark golden substance. The previously tattered fishtail instantly grew back and only stopped when it was as long as its body. The huge black fishtail was like a layered skirt. The most iconic eye of the dragon eye's spirit siphon goldfish had almost completely shrunk during this evolution. However, there were 2 inconspicuous bulges above the fish's eyes. Lin Yuan took a deep breath. The dragon eye's spirit siphon goldfish had evolved into a dragon species fei when it was still a bronze. After evolving into a dragon species fei, the spirit siphon goldfish would have a higher starting point on the path of evolution. This higher starting point would bring about endless possibilities. At that moment, under true data, the spirit siphon goldfish was no longer called the spirit siphon goldfish, but the spirit gather goldfish. Attracting spirit qi was just a small trick, and gathering spirit qi was considered an auspicious blessing. Lin Yuan could feel that the spirit gather goldfish's body was releasing dense spirit qi. After some calculations, the bronze spirit siphon goldfish's daily release of spirit qi was equivalent to 500 caddies of inferior energy ores. Of course, the spirit gather goldfish was releasing so much spirit qi because it had awakened the thin dragon species bloodline in its body. Otherwise, even if it evolved to bronze, it wouldn't be able to release so much spirit qi in a day. The spirit siphon goldfish had evolved from epic to bronze, and Lin Yuan was already choosing its exclusive skill. Spirit Chi Flare. Increase the speed at which spirit chi is released. Spirit chi absorption. Increase the speed at which spirit chi is absorbed, thus increasing the quality and grade. Spirit chi imprint. The spirit chi that is released will not be released into the environment, but will be stored in the spirit chi imprint. The spirit chi imprint will be branded on the contractor's body, and the contractor can take the initiative to release the spirit chi stored in the spirit chi imprint. These three exclusive skills were very outstanding for the Spirit Gather Goldfish. The Spirit Chi Flare allowed the Spirit Gather Goldfish to become a Spirit Chi fountain with added power. The Spirit Chi absorption would increase the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's evolution speed. It could offset some of the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's flaws in evolution. If it was in the outside world, 8 out of 10 people would not consider anything else and would directly choose to absorb spiritual chi after seeing the spiritual chi absorption characteristic. However, it might be very difficult for others to evolve the Spirit Gather Goldfish, but it wasn't considered a problem for Lin Yuan. It was just that it would take more time and energy. Therefore, Lin Yuan chose the third exclusive skill, Spirit Chi Imprint. The Spirit Chi Imprint was already outstanding. However, to Lin Yuan, the Spirit Chi Imprint's advantage was that when the Spirit Siphon Goldfish's grade increased, it could enhance the Spirit Chi Imprint strength. The Spirit Gather Goldfish's Spirit Chi Imprint was similar to the Jasmine Lily's Recovery Imprint. However, the Jasmine Lily's Recovery Imprint was to accumulate healing energy. The Spirit Gather Goldfish's Spirit Chi Imprint was to accumulate the Spirit Chi that the Spirit Gather Goldfish normally released. If the Spirit Chi Imprint was used well, it was the same as not having to worry about the amount of spirit chi in the body for a period of time, allowing the Fae to release abilities at will. In Lin Yuan's opinion, this could even be considered a life-saving measure. After the Spirit Siphon Goldfish evolved to bronze grade, Morbius also successfully evolved to bronze grade. After evolving to bronze grade, Morbius' consciousness had awakened. Morbius' bronze grade exclusive skill, Pure Land of Bliss, had also appeared. Pure Land of Bliss. The Spirit Lock Spatial Zone produces soil that can heal near-death phase injuries. The phase recovery time is determined by Morbius grade and the near-death phase grade. Chapter 54. Lin Yuan. After this promotion, I'll sleep for a period of time to completely recover from the internal injuries my spiritual energy suffered when forming the contract. The number of Spirit Chi professionals contracted phase was determined by their spiritual energy. Every time he contracted a Fae, it was the same as dividing a portion of his spiritual energy. This was also why many people had different numbers of contracted Faes. He was only 8 years old when he signed the contract with Morbius, and his mental strength was weak. In order to protect itself, Morbius had forcefully compressed its spiritual power, causing Morbius' origin to be damaged. How long do I need to recover? Do you need me to buy some spirit materials to help you recover? Lin Yuan asked in a calm and concerned tone, as though they were old friends, companions, or family. There is no need for spiritual ingredients. I don't know how long I will be able to wake up from this slumber. I didn't expect that you would be able to evolve me to bronze grade in such a short time. Let's go. Before going back to slumber, I will bring you to take a look at the changes in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. I will also introduce you to the Pure Land of Bliss. He entered the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone and realized that it was twice as large as before. Currently, the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone was about the same size as the store that he had opened on the Star Web. Not only had the Spirit Pool doubled in size, but the density of the Spirit Chi in the Spirit Chain space had also increased significantly. It went from 5 times to more than 8 times, but the inferior energy ores at the bottom of the pool had all been broken down. From the looks of it, the 8 times Spirit Chi concentration wasn't the upper limit of the Bronze Spirit Lock Spatial Zone. A cold voice sounded in his ears. The upper limit of the spiritual energy concentration here is 10 times that of the outside world. He had to explore everything in the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone by himself. Now that Morbius' willpower was awake, Lin Yuan only needed a thought, and Morbius would answer his question. The spirit chi concentration in the spirit lock spatial zone increased from 5 times to 10 times. This was equivalent to greatly reducing the time needed for the spirit siphon goldfish to evolve from normal to elite. The enlargement of the spirit pool could nurture more spirit siphon goldfish in one go. This allowed him to earn Radiance dollars even faster. On average, he could cultivate a batch in 3 days. According to the current size of the spirit pool in the spirit lock spatial zone, it could nurture at least 100 at a time. Just by selling the spirit siphon goldfish for 3 days, he would be able to earn at least 800 Radiance dollars. This didn't include the money that he could earn from evolving the bronze Usneas. It was now very easy for him to earn Radiance dollars. It was even possible that he would not accept any more custom-made elite phase after accepting the braised eggheads order. Lin Yuan had spent a lot of time and effort to customize an elite fae. If he were to evolve a bronze Usnea, he would be able to earn even more Radiance dollars. Lin Yuan might be earning more now, but he was spending more. The more he earned, the more he felt that he did not have enough money to spend. A phase evolution was like a boat going against the current, and it would be obstructed by many sides. It was unknown how much a rare spiritual ingredient was worth, so no matter how much Radiance dollars were earned, it would never be more than what was spent. If the Jasmine Lily wanted to evolve from bronze to legend, the 2 mahogany tree cores were enough to stump him. Lin Yuan had already made some simple arrangements in the Spirit Lock spatial zone and placed some simple furniture. For example, a large workbench and a chair. At this moment, the bronze Jasmine Lily was placed on the workbench. The Jasmine Lily's evolution to the bronze rank had also resulted in significant changes. However, as compared to the spirit siphon goldfish that had been reborn, the changes were much smaller. The bronze Jasmine Lily had grown from a single plant to a colony, and the semi-woody plant's leaves and stems had vanished. Layers of Jasmine Lily's flowers were gathered together like jadeite. It made one feel as though their body and mind were being healed. Lin Yuan, look over there. That is the exclusive skill of the Bronze Awakening, Pure Land of Bliss. Lin Yuan looked over and saw that there was a space that was around 20 square meters in the center of the Spirit Lock spatial zone. This space was enclosed by a crimson fence, and inside the fence was sparkling and translucent soil that was as fine as jade. Lin Yuan walked over and grabbed the soil on the ground. He felt that the soil in his hand didn't have any edges and was extremely soft. Pure Land of Bliss can rapidly heal bronze phase and slowly heal silver phase. Gold phase that are on the verge of death can be placed on the Pure Land of Bliss, and as long as there is a constant supply of nutrients, they won't die. Morbius introduced the exclusive skill Pure Land of Bliss to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan didn't expect Morbius' exclusive skill to be so awesome. Only a Class 3 Creation Master would have the confidence to attempt to heal a gold fae that was on the verge of death. Even a Class 3 Creation Master might not be able to save a gold fae that was on the verge of death. It wasn't a problem for a Class 3 Creation Master to heal a severely injured gold fae. However, near death and severe injuries were two different things. Faes that were on the verge of death would basically have their roots exhausted and vitality dried up. They would be relying on the gold fae's sturdy physique to survive. Such faes would normally be sold as fresh spiritual ingredients. Before Lin Yuan had the Pure Land of Bliss, he would only dare to hope to pick up a silver fae. Now that he had the Pure Land of Bliss, he could guarantee that a gold fae that was on the verge of death wouldn't die. Lin Yuan would be able to use his ability to slowly recover the injuries of a gold fae that was on the verge of death in the Spirit Lock spatial zone, which had 10 times the spirit chi density. Whenever a gold fae appeared, it would be auctioned in the Star Tower's rare life form pavilion. The Star Tower didn't have any stores that would directly sell gold faes. Now, Lin Yuan had the capital to dip his fingers into a gold fae. Morbius, this Pure Land of Bliss, is truly useful. After hearing Lin Yuan's lament, Morbius chuckled and said, "That isn't all. You can use your body's spiritual power to summon a Pure Land of Bliss in the outside world to heal faes with damaged roots. The range of the Pure Land of Bliss is directly related to the amount of spiritual power you consume. Lin Yuan's eyes widened when he heard that he could actually use the Pure Land of Bliss as an ability in the outside world. It was the same as not exposing his ability to convert spirit chi. He could use the Pure Land of Bliss to heal Fays with damaged roots. Lin Yuan was a healing-type spirit chi professional. However, Lin Yuan had always had the heart to nurture the jasmine lily. However, Lin Yuan did not slack off for even a moment when it came to nurturing the jasmine lily. He had even chosen the jasmine lily as his first Fey to evolve into a fantasy breed. Lin Yuan suddenly felt that the recovery imprint, the spirit chi imprint, and the Pure Land of Bliss were a perfect match. The accumulated spirit chi was in the spirit chi imprint, and when he opened the spirit chi imprint, would there be a Pure Land of Bliss with no boundaries? After opening the recovery imprint, would I have the ability to heal the battlefield during the invasion of the dimensional rift? Of course, Lin Yuan knew that he was still very weak. Chapter 55. When Lin Yuan exited the Spirit Lock spatial zone, Morbius had already fallen into a deep slumber and was recovering its injured roots. At that moment, Morbius attributes were displayed in Lin Yuan's eyes under true data. Fey name, Morbius, Fey species, Fey grade, Bronze 1/10. Fey type, spatial/mystic, Fey quality. Normal abilities, frowny face, true data. Convert all complicated information to the naked I can't distinguish into data. The data might contain the truth that can't be distinguished on the surface. Calm mind, passive ability. The effect of calm mind can be enhanced according to the phase grade. Calm mind can calm a mind and has a certain chance to resist negative states. Exclusive skill, frowny face, spirit lock. Morbius spatial zone can nurture phase. The initial grade of the Fey that Morbius spatial zone nurtures cannot be higher than Morbius grade. Morbius is unable to level up, but its grade will increase along with the Fey it nurtures. At the same time, it can obtain the initial abilities of the Fey it nurtures. However, Morbius will not obtain abilities when it levels up. Every time Morbius increases a grade, it will be able to nurture one more Fey. At the same time, Morbius' upgrade method will remain the same. Pure Land of Bliss. The Spirit Lock spatial zone produces soil that can be used to heal near-death phase injuries. The phase recovery time will be determined by Morbius grade and the dying phase grade. Normal Spirit Lock. Jasmine Lily. Bronze, 1/10. Normal ability. Heal. Rapidly recovers external injuries and slowly recovers vitality. Exclusive skill. Recovery imprint. Stores the healing energy that the jasmine lily normally releases. The contractor can activate the imprint to release the stored healing energy. Elite Spirit Lock. Spirit Gather Goldfish. Bronze, 1/10. Normal ability. Spirit Injection. A one-time recovery of a certain amount of spiritual power. Afterward, it will slowly recover the lost spiritual power. Exclusive skill, Spirit Chi Imprint. The spirit chi that is released will not be released into the environment. Instead, it will be stored in the spirit chi imprint. The spirit chi imprint will be branded on the contractor's body, and the contractor can release the stored spirit chi in the spirit chi imprint. Lin Yuan scratched his head when he saw Morbius attributes. If he wanted to evolve Morbius to silver, he would have to use its spirit lock spatial zone to spirit lock a third Fey. Another batch of spirit siphon goldfish was sold. He found that during this time, Redthorn had been consuming alien insect corpses every minute and second and had evolved to normal 9/flawless. These alien insect carcasses were worth no less than 100 Radiance dollars. However, Redthorn still hadn't broken through to the elite rank. At that moment, Lin Yuan realized that it was actually so difficult to evolve Phase without using his abilities. Redthorn's evolution was Lin Yuan's top priority now. Lin Yuan had ranked it first. The Source Seed would evolve according to Lin Yuan's will. Lin Yuan had chosen the eating method for Redthorn to evolve. Therefore, if it wanted to be strengthened during the evolution, it would have to be strengthened. All the strengthening methods included in it could only come from food. The flesh of high-grade phase or dimensional phase would be especially beneficial to red thorn's evolution. However, be it the flesh of high-grade phase or dimensional life forms, most of them were precious spiritual ingredients and food ingredients. It was unrealistic for him to purchase a large number of high-grade phase flesh. But now that red thorn was evolving, Lin Yuan could not be stingy. Lin Yuan logged onto the star web and contacted Zhou Jiasen. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, Big Sister Xian, I want another batch of normal spirit siphon goldfish. This time I want 10 dragon eyes. Lin Yuan was planning to nurture 10 normal spirit siphon goldfish this time. He was planning to nurture these 10 spirit siphon goldfish to bronze grade before selling them. The bronze spirit siphon goldfish were already qualified to enter the rare life form pavilion. If Lin Yuan wanted to purchase the mahogany tree cores, he would have to rely on 10 bronze spirit siphon goldfish. Of course, Lin Yuan wouldn't use the precious bronze spirit siphon goldfish to exchange for radiance dollars. Instead, he would hang them in the rare life form pavilion and use the barter method to exchange for the mahogany tree cores. The barter method might be primitive, but it was the most effective way to exchange for spiritual ingredients and phase. Zhou Jiasen. All right, I will pick the best normal spirit siphon goldfish for you. That's right, I have an elite pregnant female spirit siphon goldfish. I wonder if you're interested? There were plenty of female spirit siphon goldfish. However, it was extremely difficult for the spirit siphon goldfish to conceive. The more precious the fae, the harder it was to reproduce. This was a shackle that was given by nature, and it wasn't something that could be broken by humans. When Lin Yuan saw that Zhou Jiasen had a pregnant female spirit siphon goldfish, his eyes lit up. The female spirit siphon goldfish could produce up to 1,000 spirit siphon goldfish at a time. It was extremely hard for the spirit siphon goldfish eggs to survive, and the main reason was that there wasn't enough spirit chi for the eggs to absorb. However, in the spirit lock spatial zone's spirit pool, everything would no longer be a problem. The spirit pool's limit was 100 elite spirit siphon goldfish at a time. However, the development of the eggs required a process, and Lin Yuan could raise the eggs in separate tanks. This way, he could save a huge amount of money to purchase the normal spirit siphon goldfish. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, Big Sister Xian, I want the female spirit siphon goldfish. I wonder how much it costs. Zhou Jiasen, this female spirit siphon goldfish might be a little expensive. It costs 80 radiance dollars. When Lin Yuan saw the message, he frowned. If it was at this price, Lin Yuan might as well purchase normal spirit siphon goldfish to nurture. An elite spirit siphon goldfish would only cost 8 radiance dollars, and it was a rather good species. A normal species would only cost 5 radiance dollars. This pregnant elite spirit siphon goldfish was selling for 80 radiance dollars, and it was truly a little expensive. Lin Yuan originally thought that 15 radiance dollars would be the limit. Zhou Jiasen. That's right, I forgot to mention that this pregnant female spirit siphon goldfish is a 5 fortune ranchu, so it is a little more expensive. The price that Big Sister Xian gives you will never let you suffer a loss. 5 fortune ranchu. No wonder the price is so high. The spirit chi awakening might have been 100 years ago, but the human instinct to love auspiciousness had never changed. The 5 fortune ranchu was a precious species of spirit siphon goldfish that was associated with auspiciousness. Its plump body was decorated with 5 colors, signifying the 5 blessings. Its function might not be any different from a regular spirit siphon goldfish, but the price was nearly 10 times different. An elite ranked 5 fortune ranchu could not be found on the market at all. One could only purchase it from some creation masters that nurtured spirit siphon goldfish. Lin Yuan had been purchasing spiritual ingredients from Zhou Jiasen mainly because she was very reliable in doing business. Chapter 56. Deep Mountain Elder Lin, Big Sister Xian, then I'll buy this female 5 fortune ranchu. Also, does Big Sister Xian have any high-grade spirit beast meat? Zhou Jiasen had investigated Lin Yuan when he had purchased the spirit siphon goldfish many times. It turned out that Lin Yuan's account, Deep Mountain Elder Lin, was also the owner of a face store. Zhou Jiasen watched for a while. He noticed that Lin Yuan's store was harvesting normal spirit siphon goldfish. Not long after, these normal spirit siphon goldfish became elite spirit siphon goldfish. This was a spirit siphon goldfish. Zhou Jiasen made a bold guess, but she was soon shocked by her own boldness. In 3 to 5 days, 100 spirit siphon goldfish evolved from normal to elite. This was at least a Class 3 Creation Masters means. Of course, there was also the possibility of a Class 2 Creation Master. However, for Class 2 Creation Masters to evolve the Spirit Siphon Goldfish to such a scale, it would require at least 20 Class 2 Creation Masters. Zhou Jiasen couldn't understand why a Creation Master would want to enhance the Spirit Siphon Goldfish. If he had the time to enhance the Spirit Siphon Goldfish, wouldn't it be better to enhance a few silver phase? No matter how Zhou Jiasen guessed, there was one thing she was sure of. There must be a Creation Master behind Lin Yuan's store, and it might even be a Class 3 Creation Master. Class 3 Creation Masters might not even be available in Class 5 stores. Even if there were, they would be treated as VIPs. Zhou Jiasen had run the store for many years, and all the spirit materials she sold were of the best quality. After so many years of hard work, he had only reached the standard of a 3-star store. This was because Zhou Jiasen had been suppressing the price and increasing the quantity. Zhou Jiasen hadn't been able to upgrade her store to Class 4 because she didn't have the support of a Creation Master. If Zhou Jiasen had wanted to develop Lin Yuan into a loyal customer previously, then she now wanted to see if she could build a good relationship with Lin Yuan. He could use a high price to purchase some goods from Lin Yuan that would not circulate in the market. That way, his shop would become famous and be promoted to a level 4 shop. The shop's area would double, and he would be able to manage it better. It had always been Zhou Jiasen's obsession to manage the Star Web store well. It was a pity that he didn't have a Creation Master to back him up, making it very difficult for him to advance. It wasn't that Zhou Jiasen didn't want to recruit a Creation Master, but most of the Creation Masters she could recruit were at least 1 star. A Class 1 Creation Master's conditions were already so high that Zhou Jiasen couldn't accept it. Most of the Creation Masters in Class 5 shops were young and talented individuals that were selected by the shops themselves and nurtured with resources. Zhou Jiasen had also nurtured talented young people before, so she didn't mind the resources at all. It was obvious that it wasn't easy to become a Creation Master. Zhou Jiasen wanted to obtain some rare phase from Lin Yuan, but it wasn't something that could be said so easily. If he wanted to be a bootlicker, he couldn't just bootlick. The most important thing was how to make the boss accept it and lick it without leaving any traces. After being the owner of the Star Web's spiritual ingredient store for a few years, even a most aloof person would be able to turn the method of roping in Creation Masters into an art. However, Zhou Jiasen's store didn't have the high-grade spirit beast flesh that Lin Yuan wanted. However, Zhou Jiasen also understood that if Lin Yuan needed high-grade spirit beast flesh after she said she didn't have it, he would definitely go back to look for others. Zhou Jiasen naturally didn't wish for this to happen. If Lin Yuan found someone else and became a regular customer, wouldn't she lose everything? Zhou Jiasen made up her mind and sent a message. Zhou Jiasen, I don't have high-grade spirit beast flesh or high-grade dimensional life forms flesh. If you want to sell high-grade dimensional life forms flesh, you will need special qualifications. There are very few stores that have such qualifications. If you wish to purchase it, I can recommend you. Lin Yuan didn't expect that Zhou Jiasen would actually share her channel with him. Channels were the lifeblood of a fey and spiritual ingredient store. Every store had their own special channels, and they were the capital that allowed them to stand tall. Regardless of the reason why Zhou Jiasen was willing to share her channel with him, Lin Yuan would remember this favor. After surviving in the darkness for several years, Lin Yuan already knew how to be grateful. Deep Mountain Elder Lin. Then I shall thank Big Sister Exen. I am in urgent need of high-grade spirit beast flesh and dimensional life forms flesh. When Zhou Jiasen saw Lin Yuan's gratitude, she was delighted. Zhou Jiasen was afraid that Lin Yuan wouldn't appreciate her kindness. Now that Lin Yuan actually sent a message of gratitude, it meant that Lin Yuan had accepted her kindness. After a short conversation, Lin Yuan used Zhou Jiasen's channel to log into the star web and arrived at a store that didn't have a signboard. After entering the store, Lin Yuan saw a burly man sitting there while flipping through a book. He was holding a pen and constantly recording on the book as though he was going through a list of goods. When the burly man sensed someone entering, he lifted his head and glared at Lin Yuan. "This isn't a store, and it doesn't accept guests." Lin Yuan quickly replied, "Zhou Jiasen recommended me to purchase high-grade spirit beast flesh and dimensional life forms flesh." When the burly man heard that Zhou Jiasen had recommended him, he examined Lin Yuan and contacted Zhou Jiasen again to confirm Lin Yuan's identity before replying. "Since Jiasen recommended me, you can call me Big Brother Phone." When Lin Yuan saw the burly man's cautious expression, he immediately guessed something. This store shouldn't have a special certificate and should be an illegal store. There were plenty of such illegal stores on the Star Web, and the Star Web's inspection was also very strict. Every time someone was caught, there would be a corresponding punishment. It was no wonder that the burly man was so sensitive and nervous. "Big Brother Phone, how much is the high-grade spirit beast flesh sold here?" The burly man shook his head and replied, "I can only obtain a batch of high-grade Fey flesh every month. I can only get a batch of high-grade Fey flesh every month. Furthermore, they're all trash that can't be used as spiritual ingredients or made into delicacies. I don't care about the species. Bronze is 20,000 Federation dollars per caddy, silver is 150,000 Federation dollars per caddy, and gold is 1 Radiance dollar per caddy. Right now, the stock is all sold out, and the stock for this half a year has already been booked." Lin Yuan frowned when he heard that. At that moment, Big Brother Phone continued speaking. "It isn't easy to purchase high-grade Fey flesh now, as high-ranked spirit chi professionals will use Fey flesh to feed their carnivorous Feys. If you need dimensional life forms flesh, I have plenty here, and I can give you a cheaper price." Lin Yuan's frown had already eased up. Regardless of whether it was the flesh of a high-grade Fey or a high-grade dimensional life form, it was fine to feed it to Red Thorn. Chapter 57. Lin Yuan had already decided to purchase high-grade dimensional life forms flesh. "Brother Phone, I just want the flesh of some high-level dimensional creatures. I wonder how much you're selling the flesh of these dimensional creatures?" To be honest, the high-grade dimensional life forms flesh that I can collect isn't as edible as high-grade spirit beast flesh. I can't collect edible high-grade dimensional life forms flesh either. What I can collect are mostly those produced from the abyss dimensional rifts and the insect world's dimensional rifts. When speaking, Lin Yuan could clearly sense the helplessness flashing in the burly Big Brother Fang's eyes. It was obvious that the sales of those harmful dimensional life forms flesh weren't good. However, Red Thorn didn't need to be concerned about all these. In fact, the dimensional life forms flesh that other Feys couldn't consume might even bring some special enhancements to Red Thorn's evolution. I wonder what the price of these dimensional life forms flesh is. Big Brother Phone didn't expect Lin Yuan to show the intention to purchase and was rather delighted. Class 1 dimensional life forms are equivalent to bronze Feys, 500 Federation dollars per caddy. Class 2 dimensional life forms are equivalent to silver Feys, 8,000 Federation dollars per caddy. Class 3 dimensional life forms are equivalent to gold Feys, 100,000 Federation dollars per caddy. Lin Yuan was rather surprised, as he didn't expect the dimensional life forms flesh to be so cheap. It was several times more expensive than Fey's flesh. Gold dimensional life forms flesh was only 100,000 Federation dollars per caddy, which meant that 100 Radiance dollars could buy 500 caddies. Of course, Red Thorn was only at normal right now. Even if it was digesting dimensional life forms flesh, it had to be done step by step. The alien insect corpses that Lin Yuan had fed previously didn't even have a grade. The energy contained within its body might be much inferior to a normal Fey. Therefore, Lin Yuan was planning to start feeding Red Thorn Bronze Fey's flesh. "Big Brother Phone, I will buy 1,500 caddies of bronze dimensional life forms flesh first. Let's exchange contact information. In the future, when I need dimensional life forms flesh, I will order it from you. When Big Brother Feng saw that Lin Yuan had bought dimensional life form's flesh, he immediately smiled and said, "All right, I will give you more this time. I'll give you a little more this time. A rank 1 alien insect is about 30 kilograms, so I'll give you 55. The rest is a gift to you." Lin Yuan had previously felt that high-grade dimensional life form's flesh was cheap, but now that he had used 1,500 Radiance dollars to buy 1,500 caddies, he felt that it wasn't that much. Previously, he had fed Red Thorn with 1,000 alien insects. Of course, the energy in the bodies of those 1,000 alien insects might only be able to match up to 3 rank 1 alien insects. After making the purchase, Lin Yuan planned to enter seclusion. For the past few days, other than going to the Star Tower and evolving the bronze rank Usneas, the rest of the time was spent watching Red Thorn evolve. When Red Thorn evolved to elite grade, he could try feeding it with the flesh of Class 1 and Class 2 dimensional life forms. He believed that it wouldn't take long for it to evolve to bronze level. During the process of feeding Red Thorn, Lin Yuan could clearly feel Red Thorn's cheerful mental state. However, Red Thorn encountered some problems when it was devouring the bronze creature's flesh. The corrosive nature of a rank 1 alien insect's blood could instantly corrode a piece of wood and turn it black. Such a corrosive nature would affect the normal Red Thorn at the start. Even Red Thorn's mouth of Relinquish would shrivel up and turn black because of the corrosive nature of the Class 1 alien insect's blood. Lin Yuan thought, "Not good. It seems like I'm still too impatient." Just as he was preparing to let Red Thorn spit out the Class 1 alien insect's flesh, Red Thorn's mouth of Relinquish was slowly recovering because it had absorbed the alien insect's energy. During the recovery process, the mouth of Relinquish would be corroded again. When a mouth of Relinquish was corroded again, it would still shrivel up and turn black, but it wasn't as serious as before. Upon seeing such a situation, Lin Yuan gave up on the idea of changing Red Thorn's diet. Red Thorn was obviously adapting to the Class 1 alien insect's corrosive nature. At the same time, it was increasing its body's resistance to corrosive blood. This was the evolution direction that the Class 1 alien insect flesh was driving Red Thorn's evolution direction. Such evolution was induced. Even if Red Thorn was a source seed, these characteristics weren't something that could be evolved so easily. Red Thorn couldn't digest the Class 1 alien insect so easily. However, Lin Yuan could clearly feel that Red Thorn was becoming more and more resistant to the Class 1 alien insect's blood's corrosive nature. At that moment, Lin Yuan suddenly felt Red Thorn's intention to ask him again. Lin Yuan said, "Enhance the attack power. To strengthen the attack, I'll strengthen the vines that have already grown out." Red Thorn's attack power was what Lin Yuan valued the most. When Red Thorn evolved to normal, it had grown some 2-meter-long vines, and there were over a dozen of them. These vines allowed Red Thorn to have a certain combat ability. However, in Lin Yuan's opinion, these vines were still rather weak. Although the barbs on the vines were very sharp, it was still very difficult to kill a defense-type Fey with just these barbs. At that moment, after Red Thorn heard Lin Yuan's order, it fell into a deep sleep. Deep sleep was an essential evolution process for Red Thorn. Other Fays evolved according to their genes and evolve in a direction that was specified by their genes. Although exclusive skills increased the life form's diversity, there was also a rough template. Red Thorn's evolution didn't have such a template. Therefore, it needed to be automatically generated according to Lin Yuan's instructions, and this process required a lot of time. After a day, Lin Yuan realized that Red Thorn still didn't have any movements. However, Lin Yuan could clearly feel Red Thorn's current state through the contract. Red Thorn's state was very good. Genius jumped on a Lin Yuan's shoulder and said to him, "Lin Yuan, I have memorized all the knowledge in the book. Lin Yuan, I have memorized all the knowledge in the book. I guarantee that I will remember everything by heart." After speaking, Genius used its small head to rub against Lin Yuan's cheek and enjoyed the intimate process with Lin Yuan. Chami had been addicted to live streaming for the past 2 days, so it didn't bother Lin Yuan much. Whenever Chami couldn't solve something, it would call Genius. Genius was like Chimy's super housekeeper and took care of everything neatly. Chimy was just fooling around. As it liked to sing, it had accidentally started live streaming. However, the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess's reputation was now abnormally resounding. Her popularity on Star Web had almost crushed all the singing hosts. Of course, this was only the reason why the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess was famous. The reason why the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess was so popular was because of the Radiance 100 Sequence's 87th member, Lord Ranger. Lord Ranger had spent a lot of money on live streaming for the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess and had reached the top of the sparrow-voiced lowly goddess fan rankings. Every Radiance 100 Sequence member's words and actions were especially sought after. Chapter 58. However, this matter might have attracted the attention of the entire Star Web. Be it Chimy or Lin Yuan, they didn't notice this matter. When Chimy was singing, it was still looking at the bullet comments. When it was looking at the bullet comments that were constantly praising it, there wouldn't be any other content. As for Lin Yuan, he had been busy becoming stronger and didn't know that Chimy was suddenly live streaming on the Star Web. Since Genius had finished learning the relevant knowledge for the primary scholar, Fey observer, and spiritual ingredient analyst, Lin Yuan knew that there were still 3 days left. Lin Yuan saw that there were still 3 days before the appointed time with Zhou Jiesin. The Creation Master exam wasn't on the Star Web. In a city, only the main city would have a Creation Master Association. The Redbud City's Creation Master Association was set up in the main city. Lin Yuan brought Genius and rode the bronze Blackwing Goose to Redbud City. After riding on a platinum Blackwing Goose, the mentality of riding a bronze Blackwing Goose was already different from the first time. After riding on a platinum Blackwing Goose, Lin Yuan's mentality was already different from the first time he rode on a bronze Blackwing Goose. When he arrived at Redbud City and looked at the time, it was already noon. Lin Yuan couldn't help but wonder if he should call Chu Si out for lunch. After thinking about it, he was here to participate in the Creation Master exam. He might as well share the joy with Chu Si after the Creation Master exam. Lin Yuan wasn't worried that there would be any slip-ups during the Creation Master exam. In fact, Lin Yuan was thinking if he could complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours and get the chance to skip the advancement exams for 3 lifestyle class Spirit Chi occupations. He would be able to take the Class 2 Creation Master exam immediately. Lin Yuan called for a ride and headed to the Creation Master Association. Redbud City's facilities were much better than the Xiao region's. Redbud City's streets were at least 30 meters wide, and it was more than enough for a Platinum Fae to traverse through the streets. However, almost no one would summon a Platinum Fae in Redbud City's city district. Even a powerhouse would choose to travel by transportation. This was why everything in Redbud City was so peaceful and prosperous. At the entrance of the Creation Master Association, Lin Yuan looked at the Creation Master Association's entrance and then at the City Lord's mansion that was not far away. Lin Yuan felt that the Creation Master Association was even more imposing than the City Lord residence. It was easy to see how respected the Creation Master Association was. Lin Yuan didn't pick a time to participate in the Creation Master exam, and it was purely a coincidence. However, there were plenty of people walking inside the Creation Master Association's entrance with apprehensive expressions. Most of the people who came and went were here to participate in the assessment. Many of them were filled with apprehension or confidence when they entered. But when they came out, almost all of them looked dejected. On average, only 1 out of 100 people had a look of excitement and joy on their faces. It was obvious how difficult the Creation Master exam was. Most of the participants who were participating in the Creation Master exam were already fully prepared. Otherwise, if they failed the test, they would not be allowed to participate in the second test within a year. Very few people were willing to bet a year of their lives if they weren't sure. Although that was the case, even if they were fully prepared, it would still be difficult for them to pass the test. Lin Yuan had already asked Genius to turn them into glasses. The bespectacled Lin Yuan looked a little more scholarly, making him seem more amiable. He entered the Creation Master Association. Lin Yuan was immediately stopped by the Creation Master Association's receptionist. Every receptionist in the Creation Master Association would receive 30 Creation Masters that were here to participate in the exam. Lin Yuan observed silently and noticed that only one person in his group looked rather confident. The rest of the people were obviously very nervous. One of the chubby ones even trembled as he walked. When a number of people reached 30, the staff in charge of reception asked, "In a while, hand me the certificates of the 3 lifestyle class spirit chi occupations and take the exam. When you come out, take your scorecard and take your certificates from me." The receptionist was a very gentle big sister. Her voice was so gentle that it seemed like it could drip water. After giving the instructions, he sat on the stool and gestured to the participants of the Creation Master exam to encourage them. "I wish you all the best in passing the test. May your future be bright." Encouragement before participating in the examination could indeed inspire people's spirits. As the receptionist of the Creation Master Association, he was also a Creation Master. A Creation Master that was able to stay in the Creation Master Association to work was obviously a very talented one. With such a transcendent status, there wasn't a need to say such things. Since he had said it, it must be a blessing from the bottom of his heart. At that moment, Lin Yuan scratched his head awkwardly. While everyone else went to participate in the test, Lin Yuan stood on the spot and said, "That's right. I heard that the Creation Master Association can conduct the tests for 3 primary lifestyle class spirit chi occupations. Therefore, I didn't prepare any proof in advance and wanted to come to the Creation Master Association for the test." Ning Xuejuan had always had a gentle temperament and was used to being unperturbed when encountering anything. However, she was flabbergasted by Lin Yuan's statement. After a long time, Ning Xuejuan said, "The Creation Master Association can indeed conduct the test for the primary lifestyle class spirit chi occupations. The Creation Master Association can indeed conduct tests for primary lifestyle class spirit chi occupations, but the Creation Master Association can only test for 3 knowledge class lifestyle class spirit chi occupations. They are Scholar, Fey Observer, and Spiritual Ingredient Analyst. If you wish to participate in other tests, you'll have to go to other lifestyle class spirit chi occupations associations to conduct the tests." When Ning Xuejuan spoke, she looked at Lin Yuan and shook her head helplessly. How many years had it been since the participants of the Creation Master Association had encountered someone who could take the lifestyle class spirit chi occupations test in the Creation Master Association? Which one of them didn't make thorough preparations before participating in the Creation Master exam? This was Ning Xuejuan's first time seeing someone being so sloppy. Who would have expected for Ning Xuejuan to hear something that made her even more flabbergasted? "I want to take the test for these 3 occupations, and it just so happens that the Creation Master Association can do it." Ning Xuejuan wanted to burst out with vulgarities. She felt that this youth in front of her was truly an immortal. He had never heard of anyone using the 3 primary knowledge-type spirit chi occupations to participate in the Creation Master exam. If one wanted to participate in the exam for these 3 occupations, they would need to comprehend close to 300 books. Putting aside the fact that each book was too heavy to carry, the most important point was to memorize all the contents of the book in order to pass the exam. How could youth learn such a huge task? Even if there would only be 1 knowledge occupation that could be used for the exam. Ning Xuejuan hadn't seen the other 2 occupations. Those who could participate in the Creation Master exam were all spirit chi professionals. Chapter 59. Ning Xuejuan asked with an uncertain expression, "Are you really not joking?" Lin Yuan nodded seriously. How could he joke at a time like this? Even if he wanted to joke around, he had to look at the occasion, right? Upon hearing his confirmation, Ning Xuejuan looked at him with a somewhat complicated gaze. Ning Xuejuan really wanted to ask if Lin Yuan was joking. The Creation Master Association's exam had always been easy to enter and strict to leave. The people who came for the assessment did not need to have a high threshold. However, it was extremely difficult to pass the Creation Master exam. This was also the Radiance Federation's emphasis on the Creation Master occupation. They didn't want to miss out on a talented commoner. In Ning Xuejuan's opinion, Lin Yuan was indeed a troublemaker. Logically speaking, Ning Xuejuan should be following the procedures and bringing Lin Yuan to undergo the primary scholar, Fey observer, and spiritual ingredient analyst tests. However, Frozen Snow Lord didn't follow the procedure. If he followed the procedures and conducted 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations exams in the Creation Master Association, it would definitely attract the attention of the upper echelons. It would be fine if Lin Yuan passed the exam, but if he couldn't, he would be labeled as a troublemaker in the Creation Master Association. It wasn't a small matter to cause trouble in the Creation Master Association. It was very likely that it would be recorded in his resume as a radiant citizen. So Ning Xuejuan tried to persuade him again. From the information you filled out, you're called Lin Yuan, right? Lin Yuan, the questions for the 3 primary exams provided by the Creation Master Association are different from the exams that you will receive when you go to the other lifestyle class associations. Since these 3 exams are entrusted to the Creation Master Association, the Creation Master Association will set up their own questions. The Creation Master Association's questions will be much more tricky than the other lifestyle class association's questions. Therefore, I suggest, before Ning Xuejuan could finish her sentence, she heard an old voice. Lass, someone came to our Creation Master Association to take the Knowledge Class Creation Master exam. How can we push them away? Also, how is this question tricky? This old man did not deviate from the scope of the exam. These questions are all from within the scope. As long as you understand them, you will be able to answer them. The old man's voice was very calm, with a hint of benevolence. However, when Ning Xuejuan heard the old man's voice, she quickly turned her head and said, "Mr. Vice President, aren't you cultivating platinum spiral-toothed sharks in the breeding room? I'll take care of this small matter." When the old man heard Ning Xuejuan's words, his face turned serious. "Just call me Grandpa. There's nothing to hide in the guild. I want to take special care of you anyway. I'm tired. Can't I come out for a breath of fresh air? Little Snow Lord, you don't care about your grandfather at all." When the old man replied, he didn't mention Lin Yuan at all. However, his eyes were carefully sizing up Lin Yuan. Ning Xuejuan held her forehead with one hand and gave Lin Yuan a look, indicating for him to quickly escape. Although his grandfather looked kind, the speed at which he changed his face was a bit inferior to Sichuan opera. He had an eccentric temper. When he met someone he liked, he would protect them with all his might. When he met someone he hated, he would immediately belittle them. Ning Xuejuan knew that her grandfather had an eccentric temper. His grandfather hated people who didn't take their study seriously. Lin Yuan looked at Ning Xuejuan's gaze and grinned like a sunny big boy. At that moment, the old man spoke to Lin Yuan. "Child, you're rather confident. You didn't even prepare in advance before coming to the Creation Master Association for the exam. The Creation Master Association's 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations aren't that easy to answer." When the old man spoke, his expression was rather calm, as though he was just trying to strike up a conversation out of boredom. When Lin Yuan heard the old man's words, he replied calmly and naturally, "Vice President is right. But aren't all the questions difficult if you don't know them, and easy if you know them?" Lin Yuan's answer made the old man take another look at Lin Yuan and say, "That's right. What a good way to say that it's difficult to learn, but it's not difficult to learn. What an imposing way of saying it. If you have real ability, then you can be called a young hero. If you don't have real ability, then you're trying to fool this old man with words." When Ning Xuejuan heard her grandfather's words, she knew that her grandfather had taken Lin Yuan's words seriously. For a moment, she looked at Lin Yuan with sympathy. Ning Xuejuan couldn't help her grandfather's temper and eccentric temper. Lin Yuan was naturally filled with respect for the vice president of the Creation Master Association. These people were the pioneers on the path of Creation Masters. While each of them was evolving their phase, they were imperceptibly helping countless high-ranked spirit chi professionals. The Radiance Federation's current beautiful situation was inseparable from these people. This junior is naturally speaking the truth and doesn't dare to be careless. Lin Yuan's words were originally very ordinary, but when coupled with his behavior of wanting to take the 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations, it seemed rather arrogant and conceited. The old man still didn't react, but he changed the topic. Since you're so confident, you must be quite knowledgeable as well. There were two types of prehistoric life on this planet. One was the megalodon, and the other was the leviathan. These two were the true overlords of the ocean during the tertiary period of prehistory. The two of them fought for tens of millions of years, and in the end, there was no clear victor. In your opinion, which one is stronger, the megalodon or the leviathan? The old man's casual question made Ning Xuejuan's expression change. She thought, not good. This question was still being debated in the academic world, and there wasn't a widespread definition. Both were top-class predators that ruled over the tertiary period's ocean. They were the overlord-class life forms and jointly controlled the abundant resources of the tertiary period's ocean. In terms of attack power, both life forms were evenly matched. Therefore, the difference in strength was based on individual combat strength, grasp of opportunities, and combat experience. No matter how Lin Yuan answered this question, it wouldn't be considered wrong. However, her grandfather was a staunch member of the Megalodon faction. He firmly believed that the Megalodon was the overlord of the tertiary period's ocean. It would be fine if Lin Yuan said it was the Megalodon, but if he said it was the Leviathan, her grandfather would probably fall out with him on the spot. Ning Xuejuan quickly replied, "Grandfather, you were still arguing with Grandfather Zheng about this topic. Grandpa, you and Grandpa Zheng have been arguing endlessly about this topic before. What is there to ask? You feel that the Megalodon is the overlord." Ning Xuejuan's words were very ingenious, and she was conveying a message to Lin Yuan. In Ning Xuejuan's opinion, if Lin Yuan was smart enough, he would definitely know how to answer this question. The old man could also hear the hidden meaning in Ning Xuejuan's words. He felt that his question was a little dull and uninteresting. Lin Yuan was experienced in the ways of the world, and he naturally understood. However, he maintained his respect for the old man and combined the knowledge in his mind. Lin Yuan pondered for a moment before replying. Chapter 60. The elder didn't expect to hear a new point of view from Lin Yuan. His interest was piqued, and he said kindly, "Young man, tell me about it." This old man likes to hear opinions that are insightful. Speak your mind. Ning Xuejuan was hopping mad as she listened. Her grandfather seemed to say the same thing every time before his face changed. Lin Yuan pondered for a while before replying. Actually, there's this answer because both have been eliminated in evolution, so they're both weak. Otherwise, neither the Megalodon nor the Leviathan whale can be seen now. Even if the sharks in the ocean have undergone atavistic mutation, and some have mutated into the Megalodon, they're no longer Megalodon or Leviathan whales. This point of view made the old man fall silent. He had always heard that the Megalodon or the Leviathan whale were strong. Perhaps the two sides were equally matched, but without exception, they all said they were strong. This was the first time someone said they were weak. However, this weakness was understandable from the perspective of natural selection. Perhaps it was because Lin Yuan's point of view was too novel. Even when the old man heard someone say that the Megalodon was weak, he did not immediately explode. Why? The Megalodon and the Leviathan ruled the oceans of the tertiary period for millions of years. However, regardless of whether it was the Leviathan whale or the Megalodon, due to their high apex, it resulted in the slow evolution of marine animals in the tertiary period. Therefore, they naturally chose to use a meteorite 65 million years ago to persuade both sides to stop the war with an irrefutable truth. This collision ushered in a new era of the Quaternary Ocean, and at the same time, wiped out the Megalodon whale and the Leviathan whale. Therefore, from a creation master's perspective, in terms of survival and evolution, the Megalodon and the Leviathan whale are both weak. Lin Yuan voiced out his thoughts. This idea was not merely based on what Cleverness had learned. Most of it was the accumulation of his previous life's knowledge and the comprehension he had gained after promoting phase evolution. In the long river of time, everything was but smoke and dust. The path of evolution for a successful person was never to stand at the top and look down on the masses. A truly successful species evolution is one that knows how to evolve and overcome the next disaster in tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of years. This way of survival was the eternal victor on the path of evolution. Upon hearing Lin Yuan's explanation, the old man was silent for a long time, as though he was recalling Lin Yuan's words. Ning Xuejuan no longer looked at Lin Yuan as though he was just a troublemaker. This was because such words could not be easily said by an uneducated person. Lin Yuan stood quietly in place, neither arrogant nor impatient. At this moment, the old man suddenly laughed and clapped his hands. "All right." The old man's voice was very loud and immediately attracted the attention of many people. However, the elder didn't care and looked at Lin Yuan. "Young man, what you said is really brilliant. But why did the meteorite from 65 million years ago destroy the megalodon and the Leviathan whale? But the shark and whale populations still survive to this day?" When the old man asked this question, there was no longer any hesitation in his eyes. Obviously, the old man knew the answer. He was asking this question purely to test Lin Yuan. She wanted to see if Lin Yuan's previous answer was based on his feelings or if he truly understood the crux of the matter. Lin Yuan didn't think about it this time and said, "That's right. The higher you go, the weaker the food chain is. The meteorite 65 million years ago first destroyed the algae in the ocean, and the death of the algae was followed by the unicorn shrimps. The unicorn shrimps are the food source of various baleen whales and various large filter-feeding fishes. The baleen whales and various large filter-feeding fishes are also the common food of the megalodon and Leviathan whales. The megalodon and Leviathan whales stand at the top of the food pyramid, but they are also the weakest link in the ecological niche. This is the reason for their extinction." When the old man heard Lin Yuan clearly say the answer in his heart, he felt that Lin Yuan was pleasing to the eye no matter how he looked at him. People of learning often cherish talented people. Especially when he saw such a young youth, there was a feeling of inheritance, which made the old man feel very gratified. He turned around and said to Ning Xuejuan, who was standing at the side, "Lass, those who went in to take the exam will be coming out one after another. Since you can't leave, I'll bring this young man to take the exam for the 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations. I want to see the standard of the youngsters nowadays." Ning Xuejuan placed the form that Lin Yuan filled in her grandfather's hand and secretly gave Lin Yuan a thumbs up. Lin Yuan returned the gesture to express his gratitude and followed the old man to a classroom inside. The old man turned his head and said to Lin Yuan, "I'll invigilate the exam later." Actually, invigilating an exam is very interesting. I can see a person's 3 qualities by watching a person's answers. The old man didn't care if Lin Yuan answered or not, and just continued talking. Perhaps he was happy, but he seemed to be a chatterbox along the way and didn't stop talking. I could see a person's state of mind by looking at a person's expression when answering a question. I could see a person's attitude towards learning by looking at a person's answers. I could see a person's mental quality by looking at the steps when answering a question. It has been almost 10 years since this old man last invigilated an exam. While speaking, the old man's eyes revealed some reminiscence. Lin Yuan listened quietly. He felt that even the Redbud City's Creation Master Association's vice president, who even the city lord had to be courteous to, was just an old man who was a little biased towards learning. During the exam, the old man didn't hesitate and immediately handed all 3 exam papers to Lin Yuan. When entering the exam, Lin Yuan's mind was highly concentrated, and it felt as though everything in the outside world had nothing to do with him. When Lin Yuan started to answer the questions, the old man didn't feel anything. But after a short moment, the old man felt that Lin Yuan's answers were actually pleasing to the eye. The brush tip landed on the paper at the same frequency. It was neither fast nor slow, and it was calm and steady. As for Lin Yuan, his expression didn't change as he answered the questions on the test paper page by page according to the order. The old man admired Lin Yuan's calm bearing, and he couldn't help but look forward to Lin Yuan's results, which were the answers. While answering the questions, Lin Yuan finally understood why Ning Xuejuan said that the Creation Master Association's questions would be very tricky. It was because 10% of the questions actually came from the notes in the book. There were even some questions that could only be answered in the book's preface. The person who came up with the questions was truly trying to make things difficult for others. But to Lin Yuan, it was still the same. I don't know if it is difficult, but it isn't difficult if I know it. It was precisely because of this that Lin Yuan's answers were like moving clouds and flowing water. Chapter 61. When Lin Yuan was answering the questions, he didn't feel the flow of time. Smoothly answering the questions was from the first question to the last without any pause. In fact, the process of answering the questions was the process of Lin Yuan wearing genius's tool transformation glasses to learn and organize. The knowledge that genius learned was still genius after all. If genius didn't transform into a pair of glasses, Lin Yuan's mind wouldn't have the knowledge that genius learned. Lin Yuan knew that learning would always be a never-ending path. Right now, it was also a trick for him to take the exam for a knowledge-based lifestyle occupation. Lin Yuan still had to slowly learn this knowledge. For example, Lin Yuan would be able to remember most of the questions on the test paper during the process of answering. After Lin Yuan wrote down this knowledge, it invisibly became his. This was the reward. There were many small rewards that weren't eye-catching, but when these small rewards were combined, they would achieve a metamorphosis. Elder Ning had been looking at Lin Yuan answering the questions. He didn't realize how much time had passed. When Lin Yuan stood up to hand in the exam paper, Elder Ning looked at the clock and was rather shocked and confused. Elder Ning was looking at Lin Yuan answering the questions. Elder Ning had seen how Lin Yuan answered the questions calmly, but looking at the time, it was too fast. When he had come up with the questions, he had put in a lot of effort to make the questions tricky. Elder Ning didn't believe that Lin Yuan could answer the questions so quickly, but Lin Yuan's calmness didn't seem to be an act. Elder Ning took Lin Yuan's exam paper and started to look at it. Lin Yuan stood at the same spot and let his mind go blank from the deep learning. Lin Yuan liked the feeling of mastering knowledge very much. Elder Ning took the exam paper and saw that Lin Yuan's words were written with golden hooks and iron strokes. A good handwriting might not be considered a great ability after the Spirit Chi awakening, but it was able to give people a good impression. The more Elder Ning looked at the exam paper, the more shocked he was. Every single one of these questions had the correct answer. 1 passage, 2 passages, 3 passages. Until the end, Elder Ning didn't find a single wrong answer. Elder Ning turned around and examined it carefully again. It was rare for him to be so serious. However, after checking again, he still didn't find a single mistake. The 3 lifestyle class Spirit Chi occupations primary exam actually scored full marks. This was an inconceivable fact, but it was indisputable. If it wasn't for the fact that Elder Ning was certain that the answers to his questions wouldn't be leaked, Elder Ning would have felt that Lin Yuan was answering the questions with the standard answers. After a moment of silence, Elder Ning lifted his head and looked at Lin Yuan with a trace of graveness and admiration. What was solemn was that this fact was simply too unbelievable. What he admired was Lin Yuan's test results, how calm Lin Yuan was when answering the questions, and how meticulous Lin Yuan was when doing research. He couldn't find a single mistake. Lin Yuan said, while looking at Elder Ning's eyes, "Elder Ning, can I participate in the Creation Master exam now?" Elder Ning waved his hand and said, "Good kid, heroes come from the youth. You're someone with true capability. However, you will not be able to pass the Creation Master exam today. Leave the information here and come back tomorrow to participate in the Creation Master exam." Lin Yuan was a little confused. "I have already completed the Knowledge Spirit Chi occupation exam. Why can't I immediately participate in the Creation Master exam? If I were to participate in the exam tomorrow, I would need to consider the time to become a Class 2 Creation Master. I am afraid that I will miss the appointed time with Big Sister Xin, and I won't be able to find any loopholes. Elder Ning, can I take the exam today? I wish to try and see if I can complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours." Elder Ning smacked his lips and looked at Lin Yuan with an even more solemn gaze. His words were so praising that they were about to spill out. "Kid, you are rather ambitious. To complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours, could it be that you wish to try and become a Class 2 Creation Master?" Elder Ning might be speaking like this, but due to Lin Yuan's previous exam results, Elder Ning believed Lin Yuan's words a little. He really felt that Lin Yuan could complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam within 2 hours. Then you'll have to come back tomorrow. Who asked you to score so high and break the record for the Creation Master Association's Elementary Knowledge Spirit Chi Occupation exam? Therefore, I will have to report your results to the Lifestyle Class Spirit Chi Occupations Association and go through the necessary procedures. After hearing Elder Ning's words, Lin Yuan nodded. Just as he was about to leave, Elder Ning stopped him and said, "Don't be in a hurry to leave. Follow me to the breeding room to take a look at the spiral-toothed shark that I am nurturing. Take a look at this old man's research." Lin Yuan might not have passed the Creation Master exam yet. However, it was obvious that Elder Ning had already treated Lin Yuan as a junior with potential. Elder Ning's words had the intention to guide Lin Yuan. In fact, it was because of Elder Ning's admiration for Lin Yuan. Otherwise, even if Lin Yuan was a Class 3 Creation Master, Elder Ning wouldn't even bother with him. To be the vice president of a city's Creation Master Association meant that Lin Yuan was destined to be a Class 4 Creation Master. The Creation Master Association had a tradition. Be it the major cities' Creation Master Association or the Radiance Federation's Royal Capital's Creation Master Association, they didn't have a president. The person with the highest authority was the vice president. There were 3 absolute experts among the Creation Masters, which were the Pinnacle Class 5 Creation Masters. They were the Bamboo Monarch, the Chef Supreme, and the Moon Empress. The Bamboo Monarch and the Chef Supreme were veteran Class 5 Creation Masters and were also the earliest batch of Creation Masters since the Spirit Chi Awakening. They stood at the pinnacle of Creation Masters. The Moon Empress was a rising star. After becoming a Class 5 Creation Master with exceptional talent, she had been concealing her capabilities and biding her time. For the past 10 years, the Moon Empress had been keeping a low profile. However, after the Moon Empress proclaimed herself as the Empress, no one else dared to proclaim themselves as the Empress. Even the Bamboo Monarch, the Chef Supreme, and the Moon Empress weren't willing to be the president of the Creation Master Association. They only held the title of Honorary Elder. Therefore, in order to express their respect for the Bamboo Monarch, the Chef Supreme, and the Moon Empress, the Creation Master Association didn't have a president and only had a vice president. If Lin Yuan was known to be able to obtain Elder Ning's appreciation, countless Creation Masters would be envious of him. Lin Yuan naturally didn't dare to decline the Elder's invitation as he was very interested in Platinum Phase. It was a pleasant surprise for Lin Yuan to be invited by Elder Ning to take a look at his breeding room. The Creation Master's breeding room was considered a private territory, and it was rare for outsiders to be invited. It was especially so when one could view the Platinum Phase that were being nurtured. Lin Yuan followed Elder Ning to his breeding room. As soon as he entered the breeding room, Lin Yuan could smell the unique smell of seawater and the violent pressure that was enveloping it. When he saw the scene inside the breeding room, Lin Yuan was shocked. This breeding room was too huge. At a glance, there was a huge pool that was close to 1,000 meters in length and width. It was just like a small-scale artificial sea. The sea was emitting a terrifying pressure that seemed to have extreme offensive power. At that moment, Lin Yuan felt Elder Ning circulating the Spirit Chi in his body. 3 willpower runes emerged from his body and emitted powerful Spirit Chi waves. Chapter 62. The might of a King-class expert was completely revealed at this moment. Lin Yuan felt that he was like a lone boat in the middle of a vast ocean that might be submerged and devoured by the waves at any moment. Elder Ning had purposely restrained his aura when facing Lin Yuan. Otherwise, the King-class expert's aura would have crushed Lin Yuan to the ground. As Elder Ning's aura burst forth, a massive shadow appeared in the small man-made sea. The bright silver dorsal fin had dark red patterns, and it was like a sharp sword that split the surface of the sea. The 10-meter-long giant body leaped from the surface of the sea and smashed into the surface of the sea, setting off monstrous waves. The impact of the airflow caused Lin Yuan to stagger and nearly fall. Elder Ning waved his hand at Lin Yuan and said, "This is my newly bred spiral-toothed shark. This is my newly bred spiral-toothed shark." Elder Ning introduced it to Lin Yuan indifferently. At that moment, the spiral-toothed shark had already swam close, and its teeth were like rotating gears. Not only that, but the upper jaw also grew a row of vertical fangs, and the gears with the lower teeth formed a pair of scissors that could cut. This allowed the spiral-toothed shark to transform into a killing tool in the sea, using its spiral teeth and scissors to cut and shred the life forms in front of it. This spiral-toothed shark didn't just have the characteristics of the prehistoric spiral-toothed shark. It also perfectly superimposed the spiral-toothed shark's characteristics on top of the spiral-toothed sharks. This was an extremely exciting prehistoric atavism and evolutionary breeding result. Lin Yuan looked at the spiral-toothed shark and tilted his ear to Elder Ning. Elder Ning obviously had something else to say when he called him over. "Kid, I've already nurtured this spiral-toothed shark to Platinum X/Legend, but I haven't upgraded it to Diamond because I want to induce it to mutate in the direction of a Megalodon when it's upgraded to Diamond," Lin Huang explained. After saying that, Elder Lin took out a platinum face storage box from the side and took out many glass test tubes from it. After opening the test tubes, he poured the golden red liquid into the spiral-toothed shark's mouth. Lin Yuan recognized this golden red liquid. Wasn't this golden red liquid the platinum dragon's blood? Big Sister Xion's price for a drop of platinum dragon's blood was 2,000 radiance dollars. There were about 100 drops in each of these tubes. He had already put down 10 tubes, which were worth at least 2 million radiance dollars. This made Lin Yuan have a new definition of luxury. Elder Ning fed the spiral-toothed shark and explained, "The prehistoric megalodon preys on draconic beasts in the sea. Feeding them with the blood of draconic beasts will induce the spiral-toothed shark to evolve into the megalodon. Creation masters might not be able to do anything, but you have to remember that all life forms' evolution is traceable." Lin Yuan carefully thought about Elder Ning's words. At the same time, he was also looking at the spiral-toothed shark, thinking that if the spiral-toothed shark evolved again in the direction of the megalodon, its size would increase exponentially. At the same time, in addition to spiral and scissor teeth, it could also grow a mouth full of giant teeth. Spiral-toothed shark could, and spiral-toothed shark. At that time, Lin Yuan did not dare to imagine how powerful the spiral-toothed shark would be. After feeding the sawtooth-sheared shark, Elder Ning brought Lin Yuan out of the breeding room. Lin Yuan had been mulling over the meaning of Elder Ning's words. At this moment, Elder Ning said, "Becoming a creation master isn't just to create and sublimate life. It is also to save lives. You can leave now and come back early for the exam tomorrow." Lin Yuan nodded and bade farewell. After leaving the Creation Master Association, Lin Yuan realized that the sky was already dark. At that moment, in the Creation Master Association, Elder Ning personally wrote a letter and spoke to the assistant beside him. "Take this letter directly to the Lord's mansion and hand it over to City Lord Ling Xiao." After the assistant left, Elder Ning sighed with anticipation. "Lin Yuan, whether or not you have the chance to ascend in a single step tomorrow will depend on whether you can pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam." Lin Yuan didn't know the reason for the Creation Master Association's reform. However, as the vice president of the Redbud City's Creation Master Association, Elder Ning knew about it. The Creation Master Association's reform was due to the Moon Empress' intention to accept disciples for the first time. It had been many years since the Redbud City's Creation Master Association had produced a true talent. He wondered if the Redbud City's Creation Master Association will be able to bring more glory to the Radiance Federation. Lin Yuan rushed toward the Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. In the car, Lin Yuan dialed Chu Si's number. However, Lin Yuan did not expect that after the phone rang for half a minute, it would not be Chu Si, but another familiar voice. It was Teacher Bao's voice. "He's Chu Si's brother, right? Chu Si is injured and is undergoing treatment. If there's nothing urgent, I'll have Chu Si return your call after the treatment." As Teacher Bao spoke, There was a faint sound of collision like a fight. Lin Yuan immediately asked worriedly, "Teacher, why is Chu Si injured? I'm almost at school." When Teacher Bao heard Lin Yuan's words, he replied calmly, "Our school's doctor is equipped with a silver healing fei and will be able to heal it quickly. As a parent, you don't have to worry. It's inevitable to get injured during combat classes. Almost every student will suffer different injuries during combat classes. This is the only way to train combat standards." Teacher Bao's words put Lin Yuan at ease. However, at the same time, it made him feel that Chu Si had been injured because of the sharp iron horn bull's unorthodox defense-type fei. If this sharp iron horn bull did not have the sacrifice characteristic, it would be an offense-type fei. If Lin Yuan had prepared a traditional defense-type fei, Chu Si might not have been injured. Defense-type spirit chi professionals had always had a nickname, wearing the thickest armor and enduring the most vicious attacks. Lin Yuan did not want Chu Si to be injured, so he suddenly had the idea of forging Chu Si into an iron bucket. This was not enough. Not only did he want to become an iron bucket, but he also wanted to become an iron bucket that could reflect shocks. Only by forging Chu Si into an iron bucket could Lin Yuan be at ease. It just so happened that Chu Si could contract a second fei now, so he might as well prepare it before the holidays. "Teacher Bao, I'm at the school entrance. I want to go to the school infirmary to see Chu Si. Wait at the entrance for a while. Chu Si's treatment will be completed in a few minutes. It's dinner time, so I'll ask her to pick you up at the school entrance. You can have dinner together." After hanging up the phone, Lin Yuan stood at the school entrance, thinking about what exactly he should prepare for Chu Si's second defense-type fei. Chapter 63. There were countless types of defense-type feis. If they were to really compare, there would probably be over 1,000,000 types of defense-type feis. Although the abilities that each fei could comprehend tended to be similar to those of similar feis, they were not exactly the same. Exclusive skills rarely overlapped, so one had to be very careful when choosing a fei. This was because the combination of feis was a spirit chi professional's true trump card and means. Lin Yuan's head hurt as he thought about it. Lin Yuan felt that the feis that were suitable for Chu Si were rare and needed to be nurtured in a specific direction. Lin Yuan had the means to promote the evolution of feis, so he focused more on normal feis when choosing feis for Chu Si. This was because the feis that he nurtured from a young age were constantly evolving. In some aspects, when they reached the same grade, they would be stronger than high-grade feis of the same grade. They were also more compatible with spirit chi professionals. Therefore, Lin Yuan had no reason not to choose low-grade feis for Chu Si to nurture. Just as Lin Yuan was thinking carefully, suddenly Lin Yuan felt someone pat his arm, and then he heard a delighted voice. "Lin Yuan, why are you here to see me?" Since Chu Si had parted ways with Lin Yuan, she had thought that she would only see him again when she returned home from school. She did not expect that Lin Yuan would come to see her again not long after. Lin Yuan looked at Chu Si and carefully observed her. He moved her arm and found that it was indeed completely healed. Only then did he feel relieved and said, "I'm here to participate in the Creation Master exam this time. I came to pick you up for a meal. Let's go. You said you wanted to eat barbecue last time. Let's go find a barbecue shop." After saying that, Lin Yuan pulled Chu Si toward the street next to the Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy. From time to time, a few female students would come to strike up a conversation, making Lin Yuan really tired of dealing with them. Chu Si smiled sweetly and said, "Then can I order a plate of roast lamb?" Lin Yuan used his hand to rub the hair on Chu Si's head. Lin Yuan rubbed Chu Si's hair with his hand and said, "Don't worry. Why do you want to eat lamb? I'll roast fish for you when we go to the barbecue shop later." Chu Si stuck out her tongue. Although she knew that her family was rich, she was still not used to this feeling. Chu Si stuck out her tongue. Although she now knew that her family was rich, she still hadn't gotten used to this feeling. Because of the hardships and frugality of his childhood, it had long been engraved in his bones. Of course, this didn't mean that she valued money very much. On the contrary, she did not scrimp on the 100,000 Federation dollars that Lin Yuan had transferred to her. The metal that was fed to the sharp iron horn bull was the better type that it could consume at the bronze level. Now, not many of the 100,000 federal coins were left. There's an old saying that children from poor families take charge of the household early. Even though Chu Si wasn't in charge, she understood the true nature of the world. Looking up from the lowest level, one's eyes were filled with endless truth. In this kind of reality, Chu Si knew who she was relying on in this world. He also understood what he needed to do if he wanted to survive in this world and make Lin Yuan happy. That was to study hard and increase his strength. Only by becoming an expert would he be able to help Lin Yuan and his elder brother. Therefore, after parting ways with Lin Yuan, she had not worked to earn money. Instead, he spent all his time on his studies. Now, when she looked at Lin Yuan, she felt indescribably relaxed and happy. Chu Si's relaxation did not come from the improved affluent life, but because Lin Yuan's body had recovered. She was happy that even in this great world, she and Lin Yuan had persevered and never separated. Lin Yuan called for a car and asked, Chu Si, how does it feel to use the sharp iron horn bowl? How do you feel about using the sharp iron horn bowl? Which aspect do you want to focus on when choosing your next fae? Lin Yuan could help Chu Si choose her second fae. However, he also needed to respect her opinion in the general direction. Chu Si's expression suddenly did not look too good, and she raised her fist angrily and said, the sharp iron horn bowl is especially good, and I like it very much. The sharp iron horn bowl is very good. I really like it. However, a few of my classmates gave me a nickname, Big Iron Bull. That's too much. Lin Yuan could not help but slap his forehead when he heard Chu Si's words. When he was choosing the fae, he had only cared about the fae's strength. He had not been picky about the appearance. Firstly, the conditions at that time really did not allow it. Secondly, the sharp iron horn bull's exclusive skill, sacrifice, was indeed a divine skill in Lin Yuan's opinion. This exclusive skill could be used from beginning to end with a fae. As the fae became stronger, the sacrifice exclusive skill would be more powerful. It would be a pity if he did not choose the sharp iron horn bowl. Moreover, 100 years after the Spirit Chi awakening, strength was fundamental. Everything else was just icing on the cake and could not even be considered warmth in times of need. Lin Yuan had the memories of his previous life, and he was no longer a hot-blooded youngster. As an elder brother, perhaps he should bring his sister to help her teach the person who gave her the nickname a lesson and get back at him. However, Lin Yuan would not do that. Chu Si was an independent individual and had to integrate into this society. Therefore, everything that happened now required Chu Si to experience it. Only through experience would one grow. Lin Yuan would not intervene at all costs unless something that truly endangered Chu Si occurred. Chu Si said again, the sharp iron horn bowl is very powerful. The sharp iron horn bowl is very powerful. Now, even the seniors might not be able to beat me. Chu Si was very happy to talk about her results. Chu Si was originally a modest and introverted person. Now that he had revealed his results, he hoped to share this happiness with Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan looked at the confident look on Chu Si's face and proudly talked about his experience in the combat class. Lin Yuan felt his heart was extremely full and happy. It turned out that he was right to insist on sending Chu Si to school, no matter how difficult it was. After chatting for a while, Lin Yuan and Chu Si decided on the direction of the defense-type fae that Chu Si wanted to contract. This time, Lin Yuan and Chu Si's ideas were quite in line. Chu Si needed to contract a traditional purely defense-type fae. It would not be like the sharp iron horn bull, which wore a defense-type skin but swaggered around like an offense-type fae. During the meal, Lin Yuan and Chu Si ate 3 grilled fish alone. After the Spirit Chi awakening, the ocean had become wider and deeper, and the degree of danger was even more immeasurable. There was a port next to the Xia region. Even under such favorable geographical conditions, the price of fish food was still sky-high compared to meat. In the past, even during the New Year, Lin Yuan could only go to the market to buy a normal sea fish head for Chu Si. When he came back, he would cook fish head soup. Chapter 64. Given Lin Yuan's speed of earning radiance dollars, eating a few fish was really a piece of cake. After the meal, Lin Yuan transferred 50 Radiance dollars to Chu Ci through his StarWeb account. Chu Ci had never seen so much money before. However, when she looked at Lin Yuan, she only felt warmth in her heart, and everything was at ease. Chu Ci, the sharp iron horn bull needs to eat more now. It needs all kinds of metals to strengthen its skin's defense and horn's destructive power. I'll mail you a pot of silver usnea later. The sharp iron horn bull is a herbivorous fae. Apart from eating metals, it can make the sharp iron horn bull stronger with silver usnea. Chu Ci nodded. There was no need for gratitude between siblings. If Chu Ci had to thank someone, it would be endless since she was 6 years old. Previously, Teacher Bao had asked Chu Ci to strive to get the school's recommendation at the end of her first year of high school. She would become a seated contestant of the Redbud 100. Chu Ci had always kept this in mind. Now, Chu Ci planned to apply for an independent dormitory from the school after returning. The resources that Lin Yuan had given her were simply too shocking, and it was not suitable to take them out in a shared dormitory. After applying for an independent dormitory, Chu Ci would redouble her efforts and use all her energy to fight for the title of seated contestant of the Redbud 100. Afterward, she would strive for the dreams of all the Radiance Federation students. Radiance 100 Sequence. This was Chu Ci's ambition. People born in insignificance were like fireflies, and none of them wished to be more than a flash in February. Chu Ci's ambition was very firm, and it was both ambition and a goal. A firefly yearned to become an immortal radiance. Lin Yuan did not continue to give Chu Ci any more instructions. He was at ease and proud of his sister. Chu Ci and Lin Yuan shopped and bought some delicious snacks and fruits. Lin Yuan had specially picked them for Chu Ci to bring back to express her gratitude to Teacher Bao. As they walked, they happened to walk to the Redbud City's Rare Life Form Pavilion. The Rare Life Form Pavilion had existed since the Spirit Chi Awakening. It was the largest and only auction organization on the Star Web. It was officially established by the Radiance Federation. Apart from the Rare Life Form Pavilion on the Star Web, it would hold a grand auction event every once in a while. If one wanted to auction something on the Rare Life Form Pavilion, they would have to pay a certain handling fee and put on the Rare Life Form Pavilion. Someone else will raise the price at a specific time. The Rare Life Form Pavilion only displayed the current highest bid, so if a participant wanted to obtain a treasure, they only needed to raise the bid again. Of course, he could also choose to contact the seller and conduct a private transaction through bartering. If that was the case, the handling fee for placing the item on the Rare Life Form Pavilion would not be refunded. Most people didn't care about the fees. They would pay a certain processing fee to place the item on the Rare Life Form Pavilion. If they had a specific intention, they would normally leave a message under the Fae and conduct a specific transaction. The transaction fee was nothing more than using the Rare Life Form Pavilion as a platform to complete the transaction. Unlike the Star Web's Rare Life Form Pavilion, the products in the Star Web's Rare Life Form Pavilion were all interconnected. In each of the Radiance Federation's main cities, the Rare Life Form Pavilion's goods would also be auctioned, and it wasn't much different from Star Web. However, the Faes in the main city's Rare Life Form Pavilions weren't interconnected. The Faes in the various Rare Life Form Pavilions were all put up for sale by the locals. Compared to Star Web, the Rare Life Form Pavilion's physical shopping mall had much harsher standards. Normal items rarely had the qualifications to be auctioned in the Rare Life Form Pavilion. Lin Yuan said as he patted Chu Ci's shoulder. "Come, let's go in and take a look." Lin Yuan knew that he wouldn't be able to afford most of the phase and spiritual ingredients in the Rare Life Form Pavilion. However, there was a specific area in the Rare Life Form Pavilion's physical shopping mall that wasn't available on the Star Web. This area would sell rare, normal, and elite phase that few people had seen before. This area was the place that Lin Yuan wanted to visit tonight. Chu Ci was rather reserved as she had never stepped into such a place before. "Let's go take a look. There might be something suitable for your second Fae." After entering the Rare Life Form Pavilion, one would need to go through the Star Card's identity verification. After Lin Yuan and Chu Ci's verification, they would be able to enter the Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor without any obstructions. In order to enter the rare life form pavilion's second floor, there was a spirit chi occupation requirement. A combat class spirit chi occupation would need to be at least C rank. A lifestyle class spirit chi occupation would need to be at least class 2. If it was a creation master, even if it was a class 1 creation master, the rare life form pavilion's third floor would be fully open to the creation master. Lin Yuan wasn't a creation master yet, and his various aspects weren't up to the second floor standards. It just so happened that the area that Lin Yuan wanted to visit was on the first floor. So, Chu Ci led Chu Ci to the specific area. There were plenty of people on the rare life form pavilion's first floor. As there wasn't any authorization, one just needed to scan the star card to be able to enter the first floor without any obstructions. In Lin Yuan's opinion, the rare life form pavilion's first floor looked like a temple fair. As a mature soul from another world, Lin Yuan was able to quickly integrate into this world because he had a family, a younger sister, and responsibilities in this world. Another important reason was that this world wasn't dark. There might be difficulties and bad people struggling at the bottom, but this world wasn't cold and indifferent. For example, the Rare Life Form Pavilion was an official trade organization with an extremely high threshold. The first floor was open to all Radiance Federation citizens. Even if one wasn't a spirit chi professional, as long as they registered, they would be able to enter. This was a kind of attitude. Lin Yuan, look at that white little fox. It is so cute with 2 tails. But I have never seen this fae in the textbooks. Lin Yuan looked in the direction that Chu Ci was pointing and recognized the fae. How is this a little fox? It was a twin-tailed snow ferret. The twin-tailed snow ferret looked cute and was lazily lying in the fae storage box. However, it was an extremely rare assault-type, ice-type fae. It would only occasionally appear in the forests of the extreme North's glacial regions. If Lin Yuan didn't have genius illusion glasses and true data, he wouldn't have been able to recognize this cute little thing as a twin-tailed snow ferret. Lin Yuan probably wouldn't have been able to recognize this cute little thing as a twin-tailed snow ferret. The twin-tailed snow ferret's freezing ability was already at the top of the silver elemental phase. This little twin-tailed snow ferret's price had already reached the high price of 1,100 Radiance dollars. The price of a fae might be related to its grade, but that was only for faes that were circulating in the market. However, that was only for faes that were circulating in the market. For those faes that ordinary people wouldn't have seen in their lifetime in the Rare Life Form Pavilion, the price and grade didn't have much of a relationship. After all, people who could afford such faes would naturally be able to find creation masters to evolve their faes. Lin Yuan didn't consider a silver fae like the twin-tailed snow ferret. Chapter 65. The Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor was as lively as the temple fairs that Lin Yuan had visited in his previous life. Most of the people coming and going had a joyous expression on their faces. In fact, most of the people who were strolling around the Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor were people who couldn't cultivate spirit chi. Spirit chi professionals were also a minority. The first floor of the Radiance Federation's major cities' Purple Thistle Pavilions was always the place that people who couldn't cultivate spirit chi were closest to spirit chi professionals. Every display stall would have a fae seller beside it. For example, the seller of the 2-tailed snow ferret was introducing the 2-tailed snow ferret to a little lowly and her mother. The little lowly could see that she truly liked the cute 2-tailed snow ferret, but it was obviously not suitable to be the first fae to form a contract with. A spirit chi professional's spiritual energy would constantly increase. The first fae to form a contract with would at most be a bronze fae. If one wanted to form a contract with a silver fae, they might not be able to withstand it and would be devoured by the fae. In the Radiance Federation, there were cases of carelessly forming contracts with high-grade faes, resulting in a spiritual energy breakdown due to the fae's backlash. A spiritual energy breakdown would immediately turn a person into a vegetable. Even if one could find a high-ranked spirit chi professional to awaken it, the spiritual spatial zone's collapse was irreversible. This was also why a spirit chi professional's spiritual energy collapse would turn a spirit chi professional into an ordinary person who could sense spirit chi but couldn't form a contract with the Fae. The masked man sitting on the ground gave Lin Yuan a feeling that he was incompatible with the surrounding environment. The surrounding environment was leisurely and relaxed. However, the masked man sitting cross-legged on the ground might not have a clear face, but he emitted an exceptionally gloomy aura. This gloomy aura had a trace of emptiness and numbness. This feeling was rather familiar to Lin Yuan. It was just like when Lin Yuan realized that he couldn't sense spirit qi and that his spiritual energy was extremely weak. However, at that time, there was a huge change in his family, and he had to bring Chu Xiai to survive. There wasn't a chance for Lin Yuan to immerse himself in his own world, so this despair had been suppressed at the bottom of his heart. It was only when Lin Yuan's body had recovered that it was released. Of course, the reason Lin Yuan was able to observe the masked man was because there were 4 cocoons wrapped in layers of silk nets in the display cabinet beside the masked man. Among the 4 cocoons, the 3 small ones were only the size of a date, while the big one was only half the size of a fist. The white silk threads were intertwined in a pattern, and the silk nets on each cocoon were of a different color. The silk threads were intertwined together regularly, and the silk nets on each cocoon were different colors. Lin Yuan had paid attention to these cocoons because he had been activating true data. These 4 cocoons were truly treasures. The white, jujube-sized cocoon looked extremely ordinary, but under Lin Yuan's true data, the cocoon was as white as a date. Lin Yuan didn't star that the blue flash butterfly pavilion. If word of the blue flash butterfly got out, many people in the Radiance Federation might not know about it. The blue flash butterfly was a normal fae. It had a gorgeous blue color and would flap its wings when flying. Because of the blue scale powder on its wings, it looked more like it was flashing than flying. Fae, blue fae pavilion in as fae as the blue, as fae as wings. The blue wings, fae rank. Our fae was in rank. Of the top, fae insect. In fact, the ranking of the blue light goddess butterfly had always been controversial. During the election, the blue light goddess butterfly had been ranked in the top 3. However, only the blue light goddess butterfly's basic abilities were powerful, and its high-grade abilities were relatively useless. In the final ranking, even if it was ranked in the top 3, it was only ranked 6th. This matter had caused a lot of dissatisfaction among the voters. What Lin Yuan wanted was the blue flash butterfly's basic ability, silent scale powder. The blue flash butterfly scale powder had a silence effect. Indulgence was a very powerful control-type ability. There were only 2 ways for Faes to evolve. One was ancestral atavism, and the other was spiritual mutation. Spiritual mutation Faes took the path of magic attacks. The silent scale powder restrained all life forms with spiritual mutation. When enveloped by the silent scale powder, the Fae wouldn't be able to release any abilities. However, the silent scale powder wasn't invincible, and it wouldn't render the exclusive skill ineffective. In fact, if the Fae had a way to destroy the silent scale powder released by the blue flash butterfly, it would immediately recover its ability to cast spells. Even so, the silent scale powder was one of the few powerful control-type abilities among the control abilities. Lin Yuan had been choosing the next Spirit Lock Fae for Morbius. Lin Yuan had thought of many things, but he had never considered the blue flash butterfly within his scope. As for the reason, it was simple and true. It was because Lin Yuan didn't have the ability to obtain the blue flash butterfly. But now, the cocoon in the masked man's display cabinet had stirred Lin Yuan's thoughts. Butterfly species Faes belonged to the Lepidoptera, one of the 4 major insect species Faes. They were the true nobility among insect species Faes. After the Spirit Chi awakening, butterfly species Faes would be affected by the Spirit Chi's evolution, allowing them to become more beautiful and larger. This also made it easier for butterflies to be preyed on by natural enemies. Therefore, 90% of the Lepidoptera Faes had been wiped out during the Spirit Chi awakening. The remaining 10% had also been eliminated due to various reasons. This also made the chances of butterfly species Faes appearing extremely small and hard to find. The beauty and rarity of butterfly species phase had always caused their prices to be high. If it wasn't for the fact that butterfly species phase were relatively rare, most butterfly species phase weren't good at strong attacks. The price of butterfly species phase would probably be even higher. But for Lin Yuan, the blue flash butterfly's initial ability was a choice that he hadn't dared to consider in the past. A characteristic of butterfly species phase was that it was impossible to determine the butterfly species in the cocoon during the cocoon transformation. This was because once other methods were used to detect the butterfly species in the cocoon, it was very likely to cause the butterfly species phase to develop abnormally. This was also why butterfly species phase on the market didn't exist in the form of cocoons. Coincidentally, there was a dust powder butterfly among these 4 butterfly cocoons, which was very suitable for Chu Si. Dust powder butterflies weren't rare, but they were extremely changeable on the path of evolution. Therefore, after the dust powder butterfly evolved, there were many directions of evolution. One of them was what Lin Yuan wanted to create for Chu Si. The dust powder butterfly would evolve into a Vajra butterfly when it reached bronze due to pure spirit chi. Starting from the Vajra butterfly, the Vajra butterfly could evolve into a jadeite butterfly if it was endowed with special gems and spirit chi. Chapter 66. Lin Yuan pulled Chu Si toward the masked man's counter. Before encountering it, he didn't even dare to choose the blue flash butterfly. Due to the rarity of the blue flash butterflies, Lin Yuan did not even consider them in his consideration. However, now that he had encountered it, this was a great opportunity. Lin Yuan had no reason not to seize this opportunity. Thus, he silently decided that he had to take down this blue flash butterfly. When Chu Si saw Lin Yuan's expression, she suddenly turned solemn and walked toward the 4 cocoons. Chu Si followed closely behind Lin Yuan and did not say anything else. Her eyes carefully observed the 4 cocoons. Although she could not see anything unusual, she knew that Lin Yuan was so solemn because the cocoons were extraordinary. "May I ask how much are these 4 butterfly cocoons?" Lin Yuan asked absent-mindedly. The voice reached the masked man's ears. The masked man didn't stand up. He just said indifferently, "If you want to buy everything, just give me 120 radiance dollars, and I'll let you take it away." Lin Yuan was rather surprised. The blue flash butterfly might not be able to buy 120 radiance dollars, but the radiance dollars weren't enough. But for a butterfly cocoon, it was far too expensive. Because the butterfly cocoons couldn't be inspected, every cocoon was like a fortune bag, and there was no guarantee that something would fly out of it. Therefore, butterfly cocoons were rarely sold on the market. Although Lin Yuan wanted the blue flash butterfly, he would not immediately decide to buy these 4 insect cocoons. Just as Lin Yuan was thinking about how to speak, an auntie standing beside him pulled him back and said, "That's right. Young man, don't be fooled." This person had already been here for several days. Who knew what kind of connections he had to be able to set up a stall with these 4 butterfly cocoons? Butterfly cocoons aren't qualified to be displayed in the Rare Life Form Pavilion. Butterfly cocoons aren't even worth 50,000 Federation dollars in other shops. This person is selling one for 30 radiance dollars. Could it be that a bronze fae can fly out of it? The Annie was obviously afraid that Lin Yuan would be fooled, so she spoke a little louder. This caused many people to look in the direction of the display case. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard the masked man's tired and hoarse voice. These 4 cocoons are all wild butterfly cocoons found in the depths of the endless forest. The masked man's words were indifferent, and he didn't say anything else after that. At that moment, the Annie beside Lin Yuan got even angrier. In the depths of the endless forest, even the shortest tree is 30 meters tall. The cocoons are hidden under the leaves of these giant trees. How can you possibly find them? When Lin Yuan heard the man's words, he felt that his heart was stimulated by the stubbornness in those words. The stubborn explanation in the voice's words seemed light and powerless, but was unusually resolute. The people around them heard the noise and gradually gathered around. For a moment, this counter became the most crowded place on the first floor of the Rare Life Form Pavilion. Everything in the world is inseparable from the principle of the eye of the typhoon. That is, when everyone converges in the same direction, this place would become the eye of the hurricane and attract people from all directions. Just then, a staff member wearing the Rare Life Form Pavilion's special uniform walked over. He went to the front of the counter and immediately said to the chattering Auntie, "Auntie, although I know that you are doing this out of kindness, the counters in the Rare Life Form Pavilion are all approved by the Rare Life Form Pavilion." When the Auntie heard that the Rare Life Form Pavilion would vouch for her, she no longer spoke as loudly as she did to a swindler. However, she still pointed at the 4 cocoons and asked, "Why are these 4 cocoons qualified to appear in the Rare Life Form Pavilion? Isn't it impossible to detect the species of the butterfly that is transforming inside the cocoon?" The Auntie's words caused the staff member to be momentarily at a loss for words. He couldn't possibly say that it was because the higher-ups had instructed for special treatment, right? The staff member was also puzzled as to why the higher-ups would give such preferential treatment to a masked man who looked so depressed. They didn't even mind breaking the rules of the Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor. If it was because of money or power, it was impossible for the masked man to do it. But if it was something else, the staff member couldn't think of any other reason. At that moment, the masked man's phone rang. When he picked up the phone, the masked man's body immediately tensed up. Lin Yuan might not be able to see the masked man's expression, but he knew that it definitely wasn't calm. After the call, the masked man looked at Lin Yuan and said, "If you want to buy tomorrow, come over at this time tonight. If you want to buy them tomorrow, come over at this time tonight. I can prove to you that I found these butterfly cocoons in the depths of the endless forest." After speaking, the masked man hurriedly left the Rare Life Form Pavilion. Lin Yuan didn't expect that his slight hesitation would actually cause so many accidents. Now that the seller had left, it was obvious that the transaction wasn't going to happen. Since the masked man had given the time, Lin Yuan decided to come back tomorrow. Without completing the transaction and obtaining the blue flash butterfly, Lin Yuan didn't feel at ease. At the same time, Lin Yuan had an idea. If there was another fae that he liked in the future, as long as he could afford it, he must not hesitate. Otherwise, the opportunity might slip away in front of his eyes. After experiencing this incident, Lin Yuan didn't have the mood to continue strolling around the Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor. If he could complete the transaction tomorrow, one of the 4 cocoons would be a Vajra butterfly, and Chu Si would have a fae. Everything would depend on tomorrow night. After sending Chu Si back to school, Lin Yuan took a car to the vicinity of the Creation Master Association. He found a place to stay near the Creation Master Association and prepared to participate in the Creation Master exam tomorrow morning. In the City Lord residence, which wasn't far from the Creation Master Association, a woman wearing alizarin red was sitting on the main seat of the City Lord residence. She said to the 3 people standing below, "Increase the number of people guarding the dimensional rift in the vicinity of Redbud City. Send double the manpower to guard the dimensional rift in the vicinity of Redbud City. Reinforcements must be sent out within 2 months. In addition, put aside tomorrow's matters. If you have anything to say, make a record in advance and discuss it with me tonight." 2 of the 3 people standing below acknowledged the order and retreated, but an old man still stood there and said, "Lord Ling Xiao, what do you think of the seated contestants that this batch of Spirit Chi students reported? Lord Ling Xiao, what do you think of the seated contestants reported by these Spirit Chi students?" Ling Xiao took a silk scroll, and on it were rows upon rows of personal information. In this huge silk scroll, there were over 100 seated contestants' names, but only less than 5 of them were crossed out. In this huge silk scroll, there were over 100 seated players' names, but in the end, there were less than 5 names that were matched. In this huge silk scroll, there were over 100 seated contestants' names, but only 5 of them were marked with a check mark. Chapter 67. The white-haired elder stood below and listened attentively to Ling Zhao's arrangement. However, he was obviously puzzled by Ling Zhao's arrangement. He asked, "Lord Ling Xiao, according to the usual practice, the lower-grade cadets are all reserve members. They will be judged based on their performance in the second year. Why do you value the first-year cadets so much?" The white-haired elder was the dean of the Redbud Advanced Spirit Chi Academy. The Redbud Intermediate Spirit Chi Academy was considered a school for Redbud Advanced Spirit Chi Academy's disciples. Therefore, the elder would look through the name list before showing it to Ling Xiao. The elder would provide a list of information every month. It was the information of everyone on the list, as well as the comments on their growth over the past month. Redbud City was a large city in the Radiance Federation with vast land and abundant resources. However, Redbud City's nurturing of the younger generation wasn't as outstanding as Redbud City's economic development. Among the 32 major cities in the Radiance Federation, Redbud City's economy was ranked in the top 5. Currently, Redbud City only had 3 cadets in the Radiance 100. One of them had even fallen out of the Radiance 100 sequence due to some reason 2 years ago. This also made Ling Xiao pay more attention to the nurturing of the younger generation. The white-haired elder was entrusted with the heavy responsibility of collecting information on every youth with potential in Redbud City. After Ling Xiao's deliberation and screening, the 20-seated contestants of the Redbud 100 would be decided. Ling Xiao wouldn't directly appoint the remaining 80 spots, and they would be decided through competition. The white-haired elder didn't understand. A first-year cadet who had just participated in the combat class could only see talent. He couldn't see any potential, yet Ling Xiao had actually picked such a cadet. Talent was innate, and it was indeed very important. However, in the elder's eyes, the potential displayed through hard work was equally important. Just do as I say. After speaking, Ling Xiao shut his mouth and lowered his head. He looked at the name list in his hand carefully and used a pen to arrange the order of the cadets with question marks. The white-haired elder took his leave and couldn't help but sigh when he left. Ling Xiao's character was really getting more and more domineering. However, the elder naturally had to do his best to complete the mission that Ling Xiao gave him. The grand hall was quiet. Ling Xiao was wearing a red almond dress, and it seemed as though the grand hall was dyed with layers of gorgeous colors. A long while later, Ling Xiao stood up and caressed the spirit material decorations on the hall. This year's Redbud 100 should have a higher chance of becoming a Radiance 100 than in previous years. The exclusive skill, Sacrifice, has actually appeared again. However, all of this is considered a trivial matter as compared to tomorrow. I wonder if this fellow who broke the record and scored full marks for all 3 knowledge-type Spirit Chi occupations can pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam. Since the Moon Empress said that they would only be able to pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam during the first exam, then they would have to report it. Even if Lin Yuan was a prodigy, if he couldn't pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam, he wouldn't have a chance. If it wasn't for that calamity, Redbud City wouldn't be in such a difficult situation. Everything would be left to tomorrow. Lin Yuan woke up early the next day. As Genius was sleeping soundly in his embrace, Lin Yuan used his hand to gently stroke Genius' snow-white fur. It was so soft that he didn't want to let it go. Genius used its little head to gently rub against Lin Yuan's hand with a lazy feeling. Lin Yuan smiled and scratched Genius' chin. Genius immediately let out a comfortable purr. While looking at Genius, Lin Yuan couldn't help but think of Chimey. He wondered how Chimey was doing in the store for the past day. Genius let out a meow. Lin Yuan was worried about Chimey, but Genius wasn't. It didn't know what time Chimey had slept last night. It was probably live streaming on the star web again. When the sun was hanging in the sky and spreading its warmth, the outside world became prosperous. Lin Yuan headed straight to the Creation Master Association. When he arrived at the Creation Master Association, Lin Yuan saw Elder Ning standing at the entrance from afar. Elder Ning was calmly breathing in the morning air and waved his hand when he saw Lin Yuan. "Come on, follow me to participate in the Class 1 Creation Master exam. This old man will personally test you for the Class 1 Creation Master exam." Lin Yuan quickly went forward and bowed. "I will have to trouble Elder Ning." Elder Ning patted on Lin Yuan's shoulder twice and said, "Let's go. Let's go. I've prepared a separate breeding room for you today. You can take the test in the breeding room." Creation Masters required an extremely quiet environment to nurture phase. Nurturing phase and allocating spiritual ingredients was a very meticulous job that couldn't be disturbed. Lin Yuan followed behind Elder Ning. The Class 1 Creation Master exam was very simple for him, but Lin Yuan would have to carefully consider his performance during the exam. How exactly should he perform? If I can easily complete the Class 1 Creation Master exam, will it really be beneficial to me? The tallest tree in the forest will be destroyed by the wind. This was a problem that Lin Yuan would always have to face. Lin Yuan had to rely on himself in this world and didn't have any foundation. Therefore, he would have to carefully consider every step he took. If he took a wrong step, he wouldn't just be implicated, but he would also be implicated. Just as Lin Yuan was pondering, Elder Ning turned around and saw Lin Yuan's expression. There is no need to be nervous. Didn't you say yesterday that it won't be difficult if you don't know it? If you are really going to strive for Class 2 like you said yesterday and succeed, this old man will probably be envious of you. After hearing Elder Ning's words, Lin Yuan gritted his teeth. Risk it. Since I have already obtained full marks for all 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupation exams and broke the record, I might as well forcefully take a step forward for the Creation Master exam. Since Elder Ning said this, he definitely wouldn't harm Lin Yuan. However, Lin Yuan didn't know what exactly would make Elder Ning envious. What do you mean, Elder Ning? Elder Ning laughed heartily. Kid, you're rather ambitious. If you want to know what kind of benefits it is, you will have to wait until you pass the Class 2 Creation Master exam. Lin Yuan could see that Elder Ning was looking at him with eyes that were filled with expectations. Lin Yuan naturally wouldn't disappoint Elder Ning's expectations. It seemed like passing the Class 2 Creation Master exam was truly a great benefit. The Creation Master Association's reform naturally wouldn't be without a target, and there was probably a very deep consideration. Lin Yuan might not be able to guess what these considerations were, but he could guess that this reform was to select new Creation Masters with more potential. After walking into the breeding room, Lin Yuan saw an elite Fae on the table. It was an Elite 9/Flawless Fae. Lin Yuan looked at the question on the table. The question was to evolve this Elite 9/Flawless Ironhead Stoat to Bronze Grade. Chapter 68. If Lin Yuan wanted to evolve this Ironhead Stoat from Elite 9/Flawless to Bronze Grade, he would only need 1 hour. Even if he wanted to evolve it to Epic before evolving it to Bronze Grade, it would only take over 2 hours. Lin Yuan looked at the spiritual ingredients on the table. Among them, the sharp pine needle and the heavy iron ore were not cheap. If these spiritual ingredients were to be sold outside, it wouldn't be a problem to sell them for 2 Radiance dollars. This was only the Class 1 Creation Master test, and it was obvious that the high-class Creation Master test would require even more resources. This also showed how much effort the Radiance Federation put in to provide resources for the Creation Master's nurturing. The resources were all free, and it was no wonder why the Creation Master test could only be conducted once a year. Lin Yuan picked up the spiritual ingredients on the table and didn't use his own method to concoct the spiritual ingredients like the other Creation Masters. Lin Yuan immediately fed the spiritual ingredients on the table to the Elite Ironhead Stoat and channeled spirit chi into its body. Feeding the spiritual ingredients to the Ironhead Stoat wouldn't cause it to evolve. However, it could speed up the Ironhead Stoat's evolution speed. Lin Yuan shortened the 1-hour time to 40 minutes. The Ironhead Stoat let out an intense evolution. After a series of evolution, the Ironhead Stoat successfully evolved to Bronze Grade. Lin Yuan had already completed the Class 1 Creation Master test. Lin Yuan simply walked out of the breeding room. Since he had decided to showcase himself, he wouldn't leave any room for negotiation. This way, after exposing his talent, he would receive more attention. After exiting the breeding room, Lin Yuan noticed that apart from Elder Ning, there was also a woman wearing an alizarin red dress. This woman looked to be around 28 years old. However, her aura clearly indicated that this woman wasn't simple. It was because a regular 16-year-old woman wouldn't have such an aura. She should be an expert. Elder Ning walked forward and looked at Lin Yuan. Did you fail to concoct the spiritual ingredients? Why did you come out of the breeding room so quickly? Elder Ning frowned as he spoke. Even if Lin Yuan failed, Elder Ning wouldn't blame him. On the contrary, Elder Ning would still praise Lin Yuan's academic achievements. But now, Lin Yuan came out of the breeding room after only 40 minutes. In Elder Ning's opinion, Lin Yuan had given up halfway. Even if the spiritual ingredient concoction failed, it would depend on the effects of the remaining spiritual ingredients to allow the Fey to complete its evolution. This was an attitude. Ling Xiao took a glance at Lin Yuan and didn't say anything. When Lin Yuan came out, he wanted to tell Elder Ning that he had completed the test. But unexpectedly, Elder Ning felt that he had failed the test. Elder Ning, I've succeeded. I didn't fail in the concoction of the spiritual materials. I've completed the test. Lin Yuan's words made Elder Ning unable to stand still. He walked into the breeding room to check on Lin Yuan's results. At that moment, Lin Yuan realized that a woman who had not spoken had walked up to him. Yesterday, your 3 knowledge-type spirit chi occupations exams were very exciting. It seems like your creation master talent is also very strong. Lin Yuan didn't know how to respond to the woman's words. When this woman spoke to him, he felt that she was not so much praising him, but rather commenting on a fact from a certain point of view. This feeling of communication made Lin Yuan feel very strange. Her tone was filled with praise, but there was also a sense of alienation. At that moment, Elder Ning had already walked out of the breeding room. When he saw the woman conversing with Lin Yuan, he introduced her to Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan, this is our Redbud City's city lordess, Lord Ling Xiao. After introducing Ling Xiao, Elder Ning looked at Lin Yuan's delighted face. His astonished and amazed expression were about to drip out. Little Yuan, not bad. You completed the Class 1 Creation Master exam in just over 40 minutes. Lin Yuan didn't immediately respond to Elder Ning. Instead, he bowed to Ling Xiao with a solemn expression. Greetings, City Lordess. Now, Lin Yuan knew why this woman gave him such a strange feeling when speaking to him. Redbud City was hot and rainy, and it was always covered with dark clouds. City Lordess Ling Xiao's famed Fei was a fantasy breedling Xiao flower. Every time there was a rainstorm that could cause a flood, the Ling Xiao flower would become a fantasy breed. Whenever there was a rainstorm that could cause a flood, the fantasy breedling Xiao flower would always shatter the rain clouds. This was also the reason why Redbud City had never experienced a flood, even though it was hot and humid and would rain every few days. It wasn't just that. A long time ago, Redbud City had opened up a massive dimensional rift. City Lordess Ling Xiao had suffered severe injuries during the battle to protect Redbud City. She might have been saved, but her emotions were hurt, which resulted in her current state. Lin Yuan had been living in Redbud City and was under Ling Xiao's protection. Lin Yuan had heartfelt respect for Ling Xiao, who was an expert that protected a region. If it wasn't to protect Redbud City, how could a king-class expert like Ling Xiao suffer severe injuries? Ling Xiao waved her hand and patted on Lin Yuan's shoulder. She might not have any emotions when speaking, and her expression didn't change, but Lin Yuan felt as though he could feel that sudden joy. Are you going to participate in the Class 2 Creation Master exam? Lin Yuan nodded and heard Ling Xiao's words. Why don't you participate in the Class 2 Creation Master exam tomorrow? You have just completed the Class 1 Creation Master exam and rest for a day. It will be safer for you to participate in the Class 2 Creation Master exam tomorrow in a victorious state. Lin Yuan didn't know why, but he felt that Ling Xiao placed great importance on his Class 2 Creation Master exam. It was the same for Elder Ning. Lin Yuan said, I will just participate in the Class 2 Creation Master exam now. The Class 1 Creation Master exam didn't consume much energy for me. Ling Xiao looked at Elder Ning, who nodded. Ling Xiao did not say anything else. All right, kid. Just head to one of the rooms inside the breeding room to undergo the Class 2 Creation Master exam. The Class 2 Creation Master exam isn't as simple as the Class 1 Creation Master exam. Not only do you have to evolve an elite Fey from normal to epic, but you also have to heal a bronze Fey with damaged roots. Elder Ning said to Lin Yuan. It was obvious that he was rather worried about Lin Yuan's Class 2 Creation Master exam. The Class 2 Creation Master exam would usually require a Class 1 Creation Master to temper themselves for several years before they had the qualifications to participate. Moreover, the probability of passing was pitifully low. The Class 1 Creation Master exam was just to increase the phase grade, but the Class 2 Creation Master exam would involve the phase quality and source. Starting from Class 2 Creation Masters would be considered as stepping into the true world of Creation Masters. Every Class 2 Creation Master was an important asset of the Radiance Federation. As for the current Lin Yuan, even if Elder Ning thought highly of him, he still couldn't be at ease. In fact, when the Moon Empress had suggested the reform, Elder Ning had felt that the Moon Empress standards for accepting disciples were too harsh. Chapter 69. The Class 1 Creation Master exam was just a threshold. It was used to screen if one was qualified to become a Creation Master, and it was considered the easiest exam for Creation Masters. However, such a test had imperceptibly blocked countless people. The Class 2 exam was much more difficult. Only after becoming a Class 2 Creation Master would one be considered an all-round Creation Master. Not only could it increase the phase grade, but it could also increase the phase quality and heal the phase roots. Therefore, this hurdle wasn't something that a regular Class 1 Creation Master could easily overcome. Furthermore, Lin Yuan was still so young. Ling Zhao's face still had an indifferent expression, but her hands were already clenched tightly. Lin Yuan entered the room inside the breeding room and took his exam question. On the exam question, Lin Yuan looked at the Fae that he needed to evolve and realized that it was actually an elite/flawless Jasmine Lily. Lin Yuan couldn't help but lament at his fate with the Jasmine Lily. As for the other Fae, Lin Yuan's brows were knitted together. It was a massive green crab that was the size of a small round table. However, this massive crab was lying there on the verge of death, as though it was enduring some kind of unbearable pain. It was a sheer pincer's crab. It was a bronze Fae that could fight in the water. Its massive pincers could suddenly burst out with power that could even snap steel bars. On the surface, Lin Yuan couldn't see any injuries on the sheer pincer's crab. However, when he saw the lively sheer pincer's crab lying on the ground and spitting out bubbles from its mouth, Lin Yuan realized that the sheer pincer's crab was on the verge of death. Lin Yuan knew that the sheer pincer's crab's injuries were extremely severe. When Lin Yuan touched the sheer pincer's crab's shell, he knew where the sheer pincer's crab's problem was. When Lin Yuan touched the sheer pincer's crab's hard shell, he realized that the shell, which was originally as hard as plate armor, had actually caved in a little. When Lin Yuan pressed down, the sheer pincer's crab trembled in pain. Lin Yuan immediately didn't dare to use any more force. It was obvious that the sheer pincer's crab shell was completely shattered. However, the fascia on the back was still connecting the shattered shell together. Without this layer of fascia, the sheer pincer's crab shell would have been shattered into pieces. For the outer shell to suffer such damage, it was obvious that the inside of the sheer pincer's crab had also been impacted. If the sheer pincer's crab were to continue recovering, it wouldn't be long before the sheer pincer's crab died. While looking at the sheer pincer's crab's pained expression, Lin Yuan extended his hand and placed it on the sheer pincer's crab's body. This time, Lin Yuan didn't circulate his spiritual power to help the sheer pincer's crab recover its injuries. Instead, he summoned Morbius' exclusive skill, Pure Land of Bliss. In an instant, a beach that could accommodate the sheer pincer's crab's feet appeared in front of Lin Yuan. The jade-white sand under the feet of the sheer pincer's crab emitted a healing energy, allowing the sheer pincer's crab's injuries to recover in an instant. The sheer pincer's crab shook its pincers with difficulty as if it was feeling the recovery of its body. While Lin Yuan was conjuring the Pure Land of Bliss, he also extended his hand and pressed on the sheer pincer's crab's body to transfer spiritual power to help it recover its roots. After around 2 hours, Lin Yuan only managed to heal the sheer pincer's crab after activating the Pure Land of Bliss. Lin Yuan didn't enter the Spirit Lock Spatial Zone to heal the sheer pincer's crab. The Spirit Lock Spatial Zone was Lin Yuan's trump card, and he would never expose it. This was Lin Yuan's first time using the Pure Land of Bliss. Previously, Lin Yuan would need at least 4 hours to heal a bronze Fey with damaged roots. Now, the time required to use the Pure Land of Bliss had been reduced by half. This meant that the Pure Land of Bliss's healing ability was the same as when he circulated his spirit chi to heal the Fey's roots. Lin Yuan couldn't help but lament at the power of the Pure Land of Bliss. The Pure Land of Bliss's effects were also related to the surrounding spirit chi density. This meant that if the Fey was placed in the spirit lock spatial zone, the recovery time would be increased by several folds. Just as Lin Yuan finished healing the bronze sheer pincer's crab and was preparing to upgrade the jasmine lily's quality, Lin Yuan saw the sheer pincer's crab suddenly cutting the protruding carapace on its head. It then cut off a large protruding carapace and placed the protruding carapace in front of Lin Yuan. It foolishly spat out bubbles. Lin Yuan had already possessed the abilities of Creation Master for a long time, but this scene had given Lin Yuan a shock. All creatures had spirits and knew gratitude. According to the knowledge that Genius had learned, the sheer pincer's crab cherished the crab stone on its carapace. The crab stone was considered a type of spiritual ingredient. It might not be expensive, but to a Fey like the sheer pincer's crab, the crab stone was the most important existence. When harvesting the crab stone from the carapace of the wild sheer pincer's crab, it was something that the sheer pincer's crab would risk its life to protect. Now that it knew that Lin Yuan had rescued it, it personally cut the crab stone and gave it to Lin Yuan. This gratitude that came from a species gave Lin Yuan an indescribable feeling. It was a kind of throbbing feeling. The throbbing feeling contained a more fundamental understanding of all creatures. Fays and humans actually possessed emotions too. Lin Yuan received the crab stone from the sheer pincer's crab. The sheer pincer's crab then foolishly started to stroll in the breeding room and regained its lively nature. Lin Yuan stored the crab stone in the spirit lock spatial zone. Lin Yuan would keep this crab stone for eternity as a form of encouragement and responsibility for becoming a creation master. Lin Yuan was already familiar with the process of upgrading an elite phase quality to epic. Right now, he naturally didn't face any obstruction and completed the upgrade of the Jasmine Lily's quality. At this point, Lin Yuan had already completed the Class 2 Creation Master exam. Looking at the spiritual ingredients that weren't touched on the table, Lin Yuan took out a portion of the spiritual ingredients that should be used and placed it in the spirit lock spatial zone. After bidding farewell to the sheer pincer's crab, Lin Yuan exited the breeding room again. Seeing that Lin Yuan had left the breeding room, before Elder Ning could say anything, Lin Yuan heard Ling Zhao's question. "How is it?" Lin Yuan revealed a smile that was unique to his sunny boy. The sheer pincer's crab is cured, and the Jasmine Lily's quality has evolved to epic. After hearing Lin Yuan's response, Ling Zhao's tightly clenched fist relaxed. She said good 3 times in a row. She looked at Lin Yuan with eyes filled with admiration. Elder Ning quickly went to the breeding room to take a look. After confirming that Lin Yuan was done, he walked out with a hearty laugh. Chapter 70. After passing the Class 2 Creation Master exam, Lin Yuan's heart was at ease. This was a plan that Lin Yuan had already decided on, and now that he had passed the exam, he could be at ease. All Creation Masters who pass the Creation Master exam in Redbud City will obtain a store in Redbud City. Later on, I will get someone to send the information of the store to your StarWeb account. You can choose from a store on the StarWeb. After speaking, Ling Zhao left the Creation Master Association. Ling Zhao's footsteps were very light, and it wasn't hard to see Ling Zhao's joy from his footsteps. If it was in the past, Ling Zhao would recruit Class 2 Creation Masters who had passed the exam and strive to keep them in Redbud City. Class 2 Creation Masters will be able to develop, well, no matter which major city they went to. In fact, they would even be able to obtain a decent store in the royal capital. There was competition between the major cities, be it for the Radiance Hunter qualifications or the resources of Creation Masters. These were the key factors in the competition. As for Lin Yuan, Ling Zhao would prepare a store. However, Ling Zhao felt that it wasn't necessary for Lin Yuan to recruit. Lin Yuan had already met the Moon Empress requirements. and Ling Xiao would inform the Moon Empress. The Moon Empress would make arrangements and also accept Redbud City's favor. That was enough. Lin Yuan scratched his head. He already knew that Creation Masters had great benefits, but he didn't expect for Redbud City to give him a store after passing the Class 2 Creation Master exam. Redbud City was a major city in the Radiance Federation, and it wasn't an exaggeration to say that every inch of land was worth its weight in gold. Being able to own a store in Redbud City was something that Lin Yuan didn't even dare to think about. However, even if Lin Yuan obtained a store in Redbud City, he wouldn't leave the Xiao region for now. Opening a store in Redbud City wasn't within Lin Yuan's current plan. Lin Yuan's current plan was to accumulate resources like a rolling snowball to increase his phase grade and his spirit chi occupation rank. He would strive to reach the 100th floor of the Star Tower as soon as possible and ascend the Celestial Stairway through the promotion competition. After Lin Yuan logged in with Elder Ning and registered, he went through the Creation Master Association certification. Lin Yuan was already certified as a Class 2 Creation Master and was bound to his StarWeb account. From now on, Lin Yuan was truly certified as a Class 2 Creation Master. A pair of old hands solemnly placed a badge with all kinds of life symbols and 2 stars on it on Lin Yuan's chest. Lin Yuan, from now on, you're a Class 2 Creation Master certified by the Radiance Federation's Creation Master Association. Work hard on the Creation Master path in the future. Elder Ning emphasized the word good luck. These 2 words seemed to have a kind of magic that penetrated Lin Yuan's ears and struck his heart like a kind of legacy. It was the acknowledgement and encouragement from a senior to a junior. Lin Yuan solemnly nodded. Elder Ning, I will continue to work hard. I will not relax at all. Lin Yuan spoke very seriously. At first, becoming a Creation Master was a way for him to survive. But now, Creation Masters were already a profession that Lin Yuan liked to do. Whether it was feeling the transformation of life or the process of saving lives, he felt proud of himself. Elder Ning laughed heartily, his eyes filled with kindness. You've done a good deed today. After hearing Elder Ning's words, Lin Yuan was rather confused. Something good. Of course it is something good. This bronze sheer pincer's crab is a contracted fae with an owner. By healing this sheer pincer's crab, you have also saved this spirit chi professional's life. Isn't this considered a good deed? Lin Yuan didn't expect that the sheer pincer's crab with such injuries was actually a contracted fae with an owner. Elder Ning continued. When spirit chi professionals train in the wilderness and encounter sudden dangers, the fae's source might be damaged. Most of these spirit chi professionals don't have the ability to heal their phase source. During the Creation Master exam, the Creation Master Association will give these people a chance. If they pass the exam, they will naturally be saving a person. If they fail, they will just have to endure the basic suffering. This proposal was proposed by the 3 overlords. After the 3 overlords proposed this project, the Creation Master Association will provide a huge amount of resources to carry it out every year. However, this old man feels that it is very worth it. When Lin Yuan heard Elder Ning's words, he understood what Elder Ning was talking about. Today, he had passed the exam and also saved a stranger. This was a double meaning. The Creation Master Association's actions had reflected the warm side of this world. This warmth came from the Radiance Federation, which was also where Lin Yuan lived. This warmth was constantly strengthening Lin Yuan's sense of belonging. Elder Ning carefully helped Lin Yuan put on the Class 2 Creation Master crest and said, "You will wear the Class 2 Creation Master crest during normal times." With a Class 2 Creation Master's crest during normal times. The Class 2 Creation Master's crest can be used as an accessory to directly enter the Star Web. Wearing this crest will bring you plenty of convenience during normal times. This is another Star Web card, so take it well. This Star Web card was something that Lin Yuan had always wanted. When one's status in the Radiance Federation reached a certain level, one would be able to obtain a second Star Web card. This Star Web card was certified by the Radiance Federation, and it allowed a person to have 2 identities on the Star Web. If a Creation Master possessed this Star Web card, the 2 identities would be a form of protection for the Creation Master. Lin Yuan was planning to separate his identity as a creation master from his Star Tower identity. He would use his identity as a creation master to operate a store on the Star Web and use his other identity to challenge the Star Tower. Now, Lin Yuan finally obtained this second Star Web card. Lin Yuan received the Star Web card from Elder Ning and kept it. Just as he was about to bid farewell, Elder Ning grabbed him again. "Why are you in such a hurry? Also, keep this well." Lin Yuan saw Elder Ning handing over a small box. When he opened the box, there were 2 crests inside. The crests were carved with 2 stars and a shield symbol. This is a Class 2 Creation Master's Retainer crest. Class 2 Creation Masters can accept 2 Spirit Chi professionals as retainers. The retainer's responsibilities are like henchmen, but the Creation Master has to help nurture the retainer's phase. These 2 crests represent that the Radiance Federation can certify that you have 2 retainers. If a retainer violates the retainer's responsibilities, you can request for arbitration from the Radiance Federation. However, you must carefully consider the retainer's character. When Elder Ning saw Lin Yuan keeping the box, he waved his hand. "Kid, you can leave now. When you are free, you can visit this old man in Redbud City. If there is anything, Ling Xiao and I will contact you." Lin Yuan walked out of the Creation Master Association's entrance and saw that the sky was already dark. Chapter 71. If there were any changes before becoming a Class 2 Creation Master and after becoming a Class 2 Creation Master, Lin Yuan felt that the true change could only be described with one word: steadiness. Lin Yuan had made plenty of plans previously. However, the most basic requirement for these plans was to obtain the qualifications of a Class 2 Creation Master. Now, Lin Yuan had finally obtained it. Being confident that he could obtain it, and before he truly obtained it, it would only be an illusion. When all the illusions turned into reality that he could wear on his chest, it had indeed increased Lin Yuan's confidence. A Class 2 Creation Master was already sufficient for him to have a foothold in this world. As for the benefits that Elder Ning and City Lordess Ling Xiao had mentioned, Lin Yuan didn't put it to heart. Right now, Lin Yuan was going to Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor to transact with a masked man that he had agreed to meet yesterday. Lin Yuan might be a Class 2 Creation Master now, but if he missed the opportunity to obtain the blue flash butterfly, it would be nearly impossible for him to find it again. For Fays, beautiful and rare Fays like these might not always be used for contracts. Most of these beautiful Fays were kept as pets and were just a type of decoration. Their unique beauty bestowed upon these Fays of value that couldn't be exchanged with money. Regardless of which world humans were in and how many billions of years they had evolved, their pursuit of beautiful things had never changed. Lin Yuan didn't need this blue flash butterfly because of its beauty, but because of its basic ability. In order to increase his strength and obtain the best combination with Morbius Spirit Lock, Lin Yuan had to obtain this blue flash butterfly. With such thoughts in mind, Lin Yuan arrived at the Rare Life Form Pavilion. As soon as Lin Yuan swiped his Star Web card, an attendant immediately came forward and bowed to him. "Greetings, Class 2 Creation Master. Welcome to the Rare Life Form Pavilion. May I know which floor you wish to go to? If you have any special phase, you can head to the tea room on the 3rd floor to have a cup of spirit tea. I will help you search for the phase that you're interested in." The appearance of the Rare Life Form Pavilion staff made Lin Yuan realize something. He was now a Class 2 Creation Master and wasn't limited to the Rare Life Form Pavilion's 1st floor like yesterday. Instead, he was able to move freely through all 4 floors of the Rare Life Form Pavilion. "Thank you, but I don't need any help. I will just casually stroll around the 1st floor. You can go back to your work." After speaking, Lin Yuan smiled and nodded as a greeting before walking into the Rare Life Form Pavilion's inner room. The attendant had been working in the Rare Life Form Pavilion for 2 years, but now he stood rooted to the ground. The girl's face was dyed with a layer of red. She didn't expect this sunny and handsome man to not only be a Class 2 Creation Master, but also so amiable. No matter what position a person was in, being polite was an upbringing that was ingrained in one's bones and would always leave a good impression on others. Lin Yuan was on the 1st floor of the Rare Life Form Pavilion. As soon as he entered, he found that there were one or more eye of the storm. He could vaguely sense that all the customers in the rare life-form pavilion were heading in the same direction. Either a supreme-grade fae had appeared, or there was a show to watch. Lin Yuan wasn't interested in this. However, the more he walked in the direction of the masked man's counter, the more he realized that the eye of the hurricane where the crowd gathered seemed to be in the direction of the masked man's counter. Lin Yuan took a few quick steps and realized that it was indeed the case when he got closer. There were many people surrounding the counter of the masked man, even more than last night. The masked man stood there with his hand on the counter and didn't say a word. At that moment, Lin Yuan heard a rather arrogant voice. "You said that you could prove that you caught these 4 butterfly cocoons in the wild, so I bought 2 and gambled my luck. How can I afford your price? Why are you waiting for the customer you made an appointment with yesterday? Did you sign the agreement, or did you get a deposit?" The voice came from a middle-aged man with black hair mixed with half a lock of white hair. However, it wasn't accurate to say that he was a middle-aged man. Hair color could be maintained to slow down the growth of white hair. Skin could also be maintained to maintain a youthful appearance. However, the wrinkles and old spots that were left behind by the years indicated that this middle-aged man was actually an old man who maintained his body well. The masked man took a look at the time on his phone and said, "It is 7 a.m. now. Yesterday, I made an appointment with him at 8 a.m. If he didn't come by 9 a.m., I would have chosen to sell these cocoons." The arrogant middle-aged man hadn't spoken yet. A young man beside the middle-aged man spoke with dissatisfaction. "How can my master wait here for 2 hours? We are paying, but you aren't selling? Aren't you looking down on my master?" While speaking, he stuck out his chest and patted on the crest on his right chest. Lin Yuan looked over and saw a star drawn on the crest, and there was a shield beside it. This was the crest of a Class 1 Creation Master's retainer. Class 1 Creation Masters could also have a retainer. It was obvious that this young man was that middle-aged man's knight retainer, and that middle-aged man was also a Class 1 Creation Master. The young man was now rather anxious. His master was a gambling addict, and when he saw a wild butterfly cocoon, his heart would itch to buy it. If his master was rejected now, his master would be in a bad mood, and the young man would be the one to suffer. Becoming a Creation Master's retainer might allow one to obtain the Creation Master's help. The Creation Master's retainer crest would allow one to handle matters with superiority. However, behind the radiance, he was just a retainer. Due to his master status, there were some things that he couldn't say. As a retainer, he naturally had to take the lead. He sneaked a glance and received his master's gaze. The young retainer straightened his back even more. The surrounding onlookers were all focused on the commotion and didn't take a closer look. They didn't expect to see an esteemed creation master on the first floor. The Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor was mostly filled with ordinary people, and it was naturally hard for them to come into contact with a creation master that even low-ranked spirit chi professionals couldn't. Most of the onlookers had eyes that were filled with novelty and reverence. However, there were also a minority that had eyes that were filled with dissatisfaction and probing. This retainer's words were obviously using his power to oppress others. If such a thing didn't happen to them, they might not be able to empathize with it. However, it was truly hard for those who had a sense of justice to like it. The masked man walked to the corner and squatted on the ground without saying anything. When a retainer saw that the masked man wasn't giving him any face and was about to teach him a lesson, he heard a calm voice echoing from behind. When doing business, others can choose to sell or not to sell. Fate transactions aren't like normal transactions. They have to follow the intentions of both parties. Don't you understand such simple logic? Chapter 72. It wasn't that Lin Yuan was going to help the masked man out of this predicament. It was because a large part of the reason why the masked man was facing such a situation was because of the promise he made with Lin Fan last night. A gentleman would keep his promise, and once he said it, he would definitely keep his promise. Lin Yuan didn't expect that the masked man would actually keep his promise with a single sentence and leave in a hurry. It would be a lie to say that he was not moved. If not for the masked man's honesty and keeping his promise, he would not have been able to do anything. If the masked man didn't keep his promise, Lin Yuan's blue flash butterfly would have flown away. The retainer could only speak ruthlessly, as the rare life form pavilion wasn't like the outside world. The retainer understood that this wasn't his master's store, and his words wouldn't be so effective. Even a C-rank spirit chi professional would have to be polite to him. Even a B-rank spirit chi professional would have to be polite to his master if he needed help. In the rare life form pavilion, his words wouldn't be of any use. In fact, if he caused a huge commotion in the rare life form pavilion, he would have to bear the responsibility of the rare life form pavilion. If the rare life form pavilion was really going to punish him, his master wouldn't even help him. Even if his master helped him, what could he do? It might not be of any use either. The rare life form pavilion wasn't backed by a private organization, but the Radiance Federation. Now that he suddenly heard that someone was meddling in his business, his anger that had nowhere to vent suddenly found an outlet. Where did this Tom, Dick, or Harry come from to meddle in my business? While speaking, the young retainer turned around. But before he could finish speaking, the rest of his words were stuffed back in his mouth. For a person who was extremely concerned about his status as a Class 1 Creation Master's retainer, what he wished the most was for others to see the crest on his right chest. Therefore, when he was sizing up others, he would subconsciously look at the right chest of others first. It was fine if he didn't look, but once he did, he was shocked. This 17 or 18-year-old boy wore a badge similar to his master's on his chest. However, this badge didn't only have 1 star, but 2. He was actually a Class 2 Creation Master. In the young retainer's impression, the few Class 2 Creation Masters that he was fortunate enough to see when he followed his master were all elderly. A young Creation Master like Lin Yuan, who was also a Class 2 Creation Master, had immediately shattered the young retainer's knowledge. When he recalled how his master was so respectful to those Class 2 Creation Masters. Then, he recalled what he had said about cats and dogs. The young retainer was petrified on the spot. He felt his tongue go numb and couldn't utter a single word. The young retainer's reaction was too dramatic. The person who had previously been full of vigor suddenly became timid. This change shifted everyone's attention to Lin Yuan. Meanwhile, Lin Yuan had become the eye of the storm on the rare life form pavilion's first floor. Soon enough, someone noticed the Class 2 Creation Master crest on Lin Yuan's chest. He could not help but cry out in alarm. He is actually a Class 2 Creation Master. This is my first time seeing a Class 2 Creation Master. Class 2 Creation Masters can actually be so young. Most of the people around him were ordinary people. He might know that a Creation Master had a noble status, but a Creation Master was too distant from his life. Therefore, a Class 2 Creation Master was just a respectable title for ordinary people. But for Class 1 Creation Masters, it was completely different for Class 2 Creation Masters. Becoming a Class 2 Creation Master was something that he yearned for, but it was also a huge mountain that was pressing on his head. When a middle-aged man saw that Lin Yuan had become a Class 2 Creation Master at such a young age, he immediately withdrew his prideful attitude. The domineering attitude from before had completely turned into cautious humility. He quickly went forward and spoke with a face full of smiles. I didn't expect to see my lord here. It is truly an honor. This Class 1 Creation Master didn't even recognize Lin Yuan. But seeing that Lin Yuan was able to become a Class 2 Creation Master at such a young age, the middle-aged man looked at Lin Yuan with an additional layer of reverence. Creation Masters had their own inheritances. With the guidance of a teacher, a Creation Master's advancement speed would be faster. At the same time, Creation Masters were also a profession that consumed a lot of resources. Each advancement would require a massive amount of spiritual ingredients to accumulate. Becoming a Creation Master was a kind of comprehension and also the improvement of skills. The reason why it was so expensive for a Creation Master to upgrade a Fae was also because of the huge amount of resources required. This was also the reason why there were very few noble children from poor families. As Lin Yuan stood here, the Class 1 Creation Master felt that he was a person with power and wealth. Age and achievements were enough to prove everything. However, the Class 1 Creation Master didn't know that Lin Yuan was actually an anomaly. His standard as a Creation Master was completely derived from his spirit chi occupation. Lin Yuan didn't have a good impression of the Class 1 Creation Master's previous actions. Therefore, he didn't respond to the middle-aged man and walked in front of the masked man instead. "I'm here to trade. Thank you for abiding by the agreement last night." The Class 1 Creation Master didn't mind Lin Yuan's disregard at all. Instead, he let out a smile as though he was relieved of a heavy burden. Disregard meant that he wasn't going to pursue the matter. He didn't expect for the masked man to be abiding by the agreement, because he had an agreement with a Class 2 Creation Master. When the middle-aged Class 1 Creation Master looked at the masked man, he felt his teeth itching. "Can't you just tell me that you have an agreement with a Class 2 Creation Master? You're like a dead duck that can't even utter a single word. You are simply trying to scam me." However, the Class 1 Creation Master didn't know that the masked man was also looking at Lin Yuan's right chest with an astonished expression. He didn't expect that he had an agreement with a Class 2 Creation Master. The masked man stood up and said, "I will prove it to you. These 4 butterfly cocoons were found in the depths of the endless forest, and you will pay the full price for the transaction." The masked man didn't want to ask a question and was more like a statement. Lin Yuan nodded and responded, "All right." Lin Yuan could use true data to check the butterfly phase species, so he naturally didn't need the masked man to prove it. However, Lin Yuan didn't stop him. The masked man had been treated as a swindler yesterday, and there were people who were intentionally watching the show today. Therefore, when the masked man was proving it to Lin Yuan, he was also proving it to everyone present. The masked man circulated his spiritual energy for a long time, and his body was trembling a little. He then summoned a purple insect cocoon. This insect cocoon was huge and wasn't like a butterfly cocoon. It was like a fleshy cocoon wall that was tough. It was just like a small purple heart that was nurturing a life. At that moment, Lin Yuan used true data to check on the insect cocoon. The instant he saw the insect cocoon, Lin Yuan's eyes contracted. This insect cocoon wasn't an ordinary Fey and was actually a source-type life form. Chapter 73. A source-type life form could be said to be the most mystical and rare thing. Every source-type life form had different characteristics. For example, Lin Yuan's source seed didn't require spiritual energy. It used blood to form a contract and evolved according to the contractor's will. However, the other recorded source seeds were different. Lin Yuan had asked Chimey to specially learn about source seeds. When looking at the purple flesh cocoon summoned by the masked man's spiritual energy, Lin Yuan had a vague guess. This source-type life form was likely an insect queen. The insect queen was like a reproduction machine and could use the insects that it devoured for each grade as a template. It produced a large number of insects that replicated the template life form's genes. It could be said that the insect queen itself was equivalent to an insect swarm. However, the insect queen's spiritual energy requirement for the host was insane. A spirit chi professional that contracted the insect queen would never be able to contract other Fays. This was also the difference between the source seed, red thorn, and this source-type insect queen. Now that the insect queen was in a dying state, its biological source must have suffered a severe injury. The insect queen had no choice but to exist in a cocoon form to maintain its life. Source-type life forms had always had a flaw, and even after so many years, the Radiance Federation had not resolved this problem. When a source-type life form was severely injured, it could use a large number of spiritual ingredients to nourish it. However, once the source-type life form was in a dying state, it couldn't use spiritual ingredients like other Fays. Source-type life forms were creatures that were extremely difficult to injure, which meant that the source seed source was extremely difficult to damage. Since the source-type life form was in a dying state and had regressed to its initial state, it could be said that this was the lowest state that the source-type life form could maintain its life. The source-type life form could only accept the pure spirit chi and be nourished by a large amount of pure spirit chi in order to recover. This was similar to the spirit siphon goldfish. However, the purity of the pure spirit chi required by the spirit siphon goldfish was far inferior to that of the dying source-type life form. High-purity spirit chi could be extracted through the ratio of spiritual ingredients. However, the high concentration of spirit chi extracted from spiritual ingredients would have a certain medicinal effect. Even if the medicinal effect was mild, it would be fatal to the dying source-type insect queen. Now, Lin Yuan finally understood why the masked man was so dispirited. Lin Yuan could understand such a dispirited feeling and could even empathize with it. This dispiritedness came from the insect queen's injuries. The insect queen's spiritual energy requirement made it impossible for the masked man to contract other fays. This was undoubtedly cutting off the masked man's path to becoming a spirit chi professional. Even the Class 1 creation masters couldn't recognize what kind of fey the purple flesh cocoon in the masked man's hand was. There was so much knowledge in the world. If Lin Yuan hadn't used true data and coincidentally allowed Genius to learn about source seeds on Star Web, Lin Yuan wouldn't have been able to recognize them. The masked man looked at the purple flesh cocoon in his hand and said to Lin Yuan after a long while, "Put your hand on the cocoon, and you'll see the scene where you found the 4 cocoons in the depths of the forest of infinity. If a source-type life form like the insect queen was categorized, it should be a production-type and spiritual-type source-type life form. According to the characteristics of the insect queen, which was a spiritual-type creature, it could recall scenes from its memories. The masked man didn't care about other people's opinions. It was enough to prove to Lin Yuan that there was no problem with the origin of these 4 insect cocoons. The masked man did not take the doubts of others to heart. Lin Yuan took 2 steps forward and pressed his hand on the purple flesh cocoon. Lin Yuan could feel the faint temperature coming from the flesh cocoon. The life form inside the flesh cocoon was already extremely weak and fragile. It was just like a flame that could be extinguished at any moment in the wind. If it was during normal times, when the surrounding onlookers saw this method of proof, they would think that it was an act. However, with Lin Yuan's status as a Class 2 creation master, no one would have such thoughts. The 4 butterfly cocoons might sound like a sky-high price of 120 radiance dollars, but it was just a drizzle in the hands of a Class 2 creation master. Even with a Class 2 creation master's status and nobility, he wouldn't do such a thing. When the surrounding onlookers saw that there was no more excitement, they dispersed. The middle-aged Class 1 creation master looked at the young retainer who was still standing there in a daze and was infuriated. He slapped the young retainer's neck, causing the young retainer to quiver. When the young retainer saw his master's enraged expression, he shrunk his neck. He followed the middle-aged creation master and left the rare life-form pavilion's first floor with his tail between his legs. If it was during normal times, the middle-aged Class 1 creation master would have stayed behind to see if he could build a good relationship with the young Class 2 creation master, Lin Yuan. It was to pave a path for his future. However, when the middle-aged Class 1 creation master recalled that his retainer had spoken rudely, he was afraid that the retainer would settle the score. He didn't dare to stay any longer and left this troublesome place. The eye of the hurricane had also calmed down, and the rare life-form pavilion's first floor was restored to its previous appearance. Lin Yuan placed his hand on the purple flesh cocoon and felt the spiritual wave coming from it. Lin Yuan's mind formed the scene of the masked man collecting the 4 insect cocoons. The 4 insect cocoons were indeed found by the masked man in the endless forest. Just as Lin Yuan was feeling the scene in his mind, he suddenly felt a painful struggle coming from the purple flesh cocoon. Lin Yuan could feel the pain from the insect cocoon's spiritual world. However, this struggle was pitifully weak under such pain, and the intense spiritual wave was like the last burst of warmth before the setting sun. The masked man suddenly had a nervous expression. It was obvious that he could feel the insect queen's pain, and even his hand was trembling. When Lin Yuan felt the insect queen's pain, he circulated the spiritual power in his body and injected extremely pure spirit chi into the insect queen's body. If the insect queen's pain was like boiling hot water that was on the verge of exploding, then Lin Yuan's spirit chi was like clear and moist warm water. When added into the hot water, it might not be able to instantly stop the boiling state like cold water, but this warm water could silently moisturize things and use the most gentle and stable method to calm the insect queen down. Lin Yuan's spirit qi was like clear and moist warm water. When added into the hot water, it might not be able to instantly stop the boiling state like cold water. As expected, when Lin Yuan's pure spirit qi was injected into the insect queen's body, it woke it up. The insect queen was a source seed with a powerful recovery ability. In just a few minutes, the insect queen's injuries didn't have any improvement. However, the insect queen had also recovered from its state of near death to near death. When Lin Yuan withdrew his hand and lifted his head, he noticed that the masked man's eyes were staring at him. Unlike before, the masked man's eyes were no longer dispirited and gloomy. Instead, it was like a person who had been separated from the light in the darkness for many years suddenly saw a rainbow hanging in the darkness. His eyes were filled with hope after the apocalypse, as well as an indescribable joy. Chapter 74. The masked man hesitated for a while. Then his gaze gradually became firm. "That I don't know if I can." The masked man's words were somewhat hesitant. However, Lin Yuan could roughly guess what the masked man wanted to say. Lin Yuan spoke first. "Then follow me to the tea room upstairs. We can talk slowly." The tea room on the Rare Lifeform Pavilion's third floor was actually a private room with an elegant and comfortable environment. However, it was specially soundproof, so people didn't have to worry about being overheard or being disturbed in the tea room. The masked man quickly responded, "All right." After speaking, he prepared to follow Lin Yuan. Lin Yuan didn't expect the masked man, who had always been calm, to suddenly become anxious. Lin Yuan pointed at the 4 butterfly cocoons on the counter. "We have to complete the transaction for the 4 butterfly cocoons first." When Lin Yuan was collecting the 4 butterfly cocoons, he looked at one of the ordinary white butterfly cocoons, and it was imaginable how excited he was. Lin Yuan placed the blue flash butterfly's cocoon in a separate box. As for the other 3 cocoons, the Vajra butterfly was left for Chu Ci, and Lin Yuan specially kept it. As for the other 2 cocoons, there was a poison powder butterfly in a pale green cocoon and a hunter butterfly in a rather large white cocoon. The Vajra butterfly was the most variable existence among butterfly life forms. Although it wasn't particularly rare among butterfly life forms, it was still rather expensive. An elite Vajra butterfly could be sold for around 40 radiance dollars. As for the poison powder butterfly and hunter butterfly, they wouldn't even be worth 10 radiance dollars. Therefore, without the blue flash butterfly, Lin Yuan would be making a loss by purchasing these 4 butterfly cocoons. However, with the blue flash butterfly, it was still a huge profit. After the transaction, Lin Yuan was about to transfer the money to the masked man through the star web. However, the masked man refused no matter what. Lin Yuan simply patted the masked man's shoulder and said, "That's a different matter. I bought your butterfly cocoons, so I naturally have to pay you radiance dollars. If you have something to say later, we can talk in the tea room." After hearing Lin Yuan's words, the masked man was finally willing to give up. When Lin Yuan found a staff member and requested to use a pantry, he was led to the 3rd floor. The environment of the pantry was very good, and there were even a few pots of silver-ranked flowers in full bloom. The room was filled with a light and elegant fragrance. He sat on the sofa in the tea room and drank the spirit tea cooked with fays. He could not help but feel that the fragrance of the tea had washed away all the fatigue in his body. The masked man sat there, obviously not in the mood to drink this rare cup of spirit tea. Lin Yuan said, "If there's anything you want to say, just say it to me." Lin Yuan did not directly expose the masked man's thoughts. There were some things that Lin Yuan hoped the masked man would personally say as a farewell to the past. The masked man stared at Lin Yuan for a long time before he slowly reached out and took off his mask. The face behind the mask was not as old as Lin Yuan had imagined. He looked to be about 25 or 26 years old, but his eyes revealed the vicissitudes of life that did not match his appearance. After taking off the mask, the man activated his mental power. Then, a deep purple rune appeared and circled around the man. The spiritual energy within the man's body also began to circulate. Although a cyclone had yet to form on the surface of his body, a stream of air had already formed. Lin Yuan raised his brows. He hadn't expected the masked man to have a willpower rune. His spirit energy level seemed to have reached rank A, and if he had a fantasy breed spirit beast, he would be considered a king-class powerhouse. With this man's age and talent, it was impossible for him to be an ordinary person. Such talent was considered top-notch in the Radiance Federation. Furthermore, he had a source-type life form, the Insect Queen. If the Insect Queen wasn't heavily injured, it would be on the verge of death. The man in front of him should be one of the top experts of a younger generation. Lin Yuan didn't ask, but the masked man spoke. Let me introduce myself. I'm Lu Jie, 27 years old. I used to be an A-rank, combat class spirit chi professional and have an Insect Queen. It's Platinum C/Epic. Lu Jie introduced himself seriously, and Lin Yuan listened attentively. After introducing himself, Lu Jie added, "That's right. 2 years ago, people also called me Radiance 100, sequence number 39, Heart of Insect Swarm." Upon hearing this, Lin Yuan's eyes widened, and his pupils contracted. Sequence number 39, Heart of Insect Swarm? Even Lin Yuan, who wasn't very interested in news, had heard of sequence number 39, Heart of Insect Swarm. A class 3-dimensional rift had opened up not far from Cold Frost City. This class 3-dimensional rift was connected to the gloomy underground world. The underground world's life forms were famous for being greedy and cruel, and they would hunt down all living beings on the surface. This class 3-dimensional rift didn't cause any losses to Cold Frost City because sequence number 39, Heart of Insect Swarm, had controlled the swarm of insects and had single-handedly delayed the class 3-dimensional rift's underground world's beast dynasty for half an hour. It was this half an hour that prevented Cold Frost City from turning into a purgatory. However, after that, sequence number 39, Heart of Insect Swarm, disappeared and never appeared again. 2 years might not be enough to erase everything. Compared to the other Radiance 100 children, sequence number 39, Heart of Insect Swarm's reputation was no longer as resounding as before. 1 year ago, during the Radiance 100 sequence ranking, due to Heart of Insect Swarm's absence, he was disqualified from the Radiance 100, which was a pity. However, Lin Yuan didn't expect that a sequence number 39 of the Radiance 100 would be wearing a mask on the Rare Life Form Pavilion's first floor with his injured Source-type life form and relying on butterfly cocoons to make a living. This made Lin Yuan's heart suddenly feel an indescribable pressure. Perhaps seeing the change in Lin Yuan's expression, Lu Jie continued to explain. In the previous battle, it was almost impossible for me and the Insect Queen to survive. It was Lord Bamboo Monarch who used 3 months to heal me and barely maintained the Insect Queen in a near-death state. I chose my current life. I don't want to become a cripple and rely on my past glory to live. Lin Yuan could hear the pride in Lu Jie's words. Lin Yuan couldn't completely understand Lu Jie, but he admired him very much. Perhaps this was the life that a hero chose and dedicated to. At that moment, Lu Jie said, "But today, you let me see hope. However, you've given me hope today. I wonder why your spirit chi is able to heal the Insect Queen's injuries." Chapter 75. A firm voice rang out. "I swear with the willpower rune that I will become Class 2 Creation Master Lin Yuan's retainer and will abide by the responsibilities of a retainer. If I violate the oath, I will be repelled by the will of heaven and earth." As soon as Lu Jie finished speaking, the purple willpower runes hovering around him suddenly stopped. A layer of abstruse shackles appeared on the rune, and Lu Jie's willpower rune was tightly locked on one end of the shackles. The other end of the shackles entered Lin Yuan's spiritual energy. Lin Yuan could feel that he and Lu Jie had formed a subordinate relationship. This was a rune oath that could only be initiated by someone who had comprehended a willpower rune. The consequence of going against it was to be shielded by the will of heaven and earth, never to be able to sense spiritual chi again. It could be said that the rune oath was the most inviolable oath after the spirit chi awakening. This was because once a rune oath was violated, it was equivalent to an expert who could comprehend the will of heaven and earth and condense runes to become an ordinary person who could not even feel spiritual energy. Such a punishment was even harder to accept than death for spirit chi professionals. Lin Yuan did not expect Lu Jie to suddenly swear a rune oath. Lin Yuan looked at Lu Jie and did not know what to say for a while. After obtaining the 2 Creation Masters retainer crests, Lin Yuan had thought of accepting 2 retainers. However, he had never thought that he would recruit someone who used to be at the top of the Radiance 100 sequence. He was no longer sequence number 39 of the Radiance 100 and had wasted 2 years. However, if Lu Jie's Insect Queen recovered, it was not impossible for it to catch up. These 2 years, which seemed to have been wasted, were not in vain. In the past 2 years, his strength had not increased at all. However, the growth in his state of mind was something that he could never achieve in the past. Lu Jie looked at Lin Yuan's expression and said calmly, "Now, according to the oath, I am already your squire or guardian knight. I want to beg you to help me restore the Insect Queen, but I have nothing to repay you. I only have myself. If you grant me a new life, my future will be in your hands." Upon seeing Lu Jie's calm expression, Lin Yuan looked at him for a long time and asked, "Is it worth it to sacrifice the rest of your life?" Lu Jie thought of what the Bamboo Monarch had said back then. It required extreme spirit chi without any medicinal properties to promote the Insect Queen's slow recovery. This was something that the Bamboo Monarch could not do. Something that even a Class 5 Creation Master couldn't do was the same as giving Lu Jie a death sentence. It wasn't that Lu Jie hadn't looked for other Creation Masters over the years, but he hadn't found anything. Slowly, he lost all hope. However, for some reason, the spirit chi released by the young man in front of him was able to help the Insect Queen recover. This was Lu Jie's only chance. If one wanted to talk about whether it was worth it or not, a spirit chi professional would have to face many choices from the start of choosing an occupation. Every choice would lead to a completely different path in the future. Lu Jie was also constantly making choices. He chose the source-type life form. The Insect Queen chose to strive for the Radiance 100 sequence, chose to protect Cold Frost City, and chose to become Lin Yuan's retainer knight. Lu Jie didn't dare to say that every choice he made was absolutely perfect or the best one. However, Lu Jie did not regret his choice. Lu Jie suddenly smiled, and a trace of foolishness appeared on his determined face. It is worth it. The days when he couldn't become a spirit chi professional made him feel like a walking corpse. And now, the light was so dazzling that Lu Jie couldn't look away no matter what. Lin Yuan extended his hand solemnly. 2 pairs of hands held together. Although the 2 of them did not use much strength, their grip was quite firm. Lin Yuan said as he pulled Lu Jie up, "Since you've chosen to become my retainer knight, I'll carry out my duties. In a few days, I'll help you with the initial treatment for your Insect Queen." The rune oath had imperceptibly bound Lu Jie to himself. Since Lu Jie had made an oath, Lin Yuan could accept Lu Jie's allegiance with a clear conscience. He didn't even need to take any responsibility. However, Lin Yuan was clearly not such a person. After accepting Lu Jie's allegiance, the first thing Lin Yuan felt was that his responsibilities had increased. Lu Jie was a former Radiance 100 sequence member, so no one would believe that he was his retainer. Upon hearing that, the silly smile on Lu Jie's face grew wider. Lu Jie knew that he was loyal to the right person. "Actually, I wouldn't have rejected you if you had asked me to heal your Insect Queen." For the sake of Frost City, Lu Jie was willing to sacrifice everything he had, his glory, and his dreams to protect it. Lin Yuan rather admired such a person. Therefore, from the moment Lin Yuan knew Lu Jie's identity, he had the thought of helping Lu Jie heal the Insect Queen. However, he did not expect Lu Jie to be so straightforward and choose to become his retainer knight. Who doesn't try their best to walk to the end of their lives? Before, I was powerless and couldn't see hope, so I could only muddle through life. But now that hope has appeared, how can I not try my best to grasp it? From today onwards, I will be young master's sword and shield. Upon hearing Lu Jie address him as young master, Lin Yuan hurriedly replied, "Yes, young master. Just call me Lin Yuan." Are you going to follow me back to the Xia region? My home is not in Redbud City. Lu Jie pondered for a moment and said, Lin Yuan, why don't I go to the Xia region to look for you after 3 days? I still have something to do during these 2 days. For the past 2 years, Lu Jie's life had been muddled and hopeless. However, he had made a lot of money in the past 2 years. Lu Jie used this sum of money to provide for over a dozen children and set up an education savings package for them on StarWeb. The education savings package included the expenses for school and face election. Lu Jie's StarWeb card still had the 120 Radiance dollars that Lin Yuan had just transferred over. This money was enough for Lu Jie to save the final sum of money for his education savings. Lin Yuan did not ask what Lu Jie was going to do. If Lin Yuan knew what Lu Jie was going to do, he would only feel admiration. However, Lin Yuan would not do the same. This might be due to his worldview, choices, and trade-offs. Lin Yuan opened the box with the 2 retainer crests. Lin Yuan had just obtained this box a few hours ago. Lin Yuan would never have thought that he would have to give away one of the 2 newly obtained retainer crests in just a few hours. After looking at the retainer crests that Lin Yuan handed over, Lu Jie clenched them in his hand and wore them on his left chest. Obtaining this retainer crest was unexpected for Lu Jie, but it was also within his expectations. Lu Jie had sworn an oath with a willpower rune and did not need the protection of the Radiance Federation system. Chapter 76. 2 years ago, alone Class 2 Creation Masters, Lu Jie had even seen plenty of Class 3 Creation Masters. He had even seen one of the 3 Class 5 Creation Masters, the Bamboo Monarch. But now, when he wore the Class 2 Creation Master's retainer crest on his left chest, Lu Jie felt as though it was emitting heat. It was so heavy that his heart was boiling. When he looked at the small shield beside the 2 stars on the crest, Lu Jie knew his responsibility for the rest of his life. After parting with Lu Jie, Lin Yuan immediately returned to the Xia region. He was truly a little worried about Chime being at home alone. Even if Chime was a bronze fae, Lin Yuan was still afraid that something might happen to it at home. Ever since Lin Yuan had brought Chime home, this should be the longest period of time that he had been away from Chime. Lin Yuan returned to the face store. When he opened the door, Chime immediately flew onto Lin Yuan's shoulder when it heard the sound. It then jumped onto Lin Yuan's ear and rubbed its little head against Lin Yuan's hair to express its longing. After not seeing Lin Yuan for such a long time, Chime missed him terribly. It wasn't even in the mood for a live broadcast, causing Chime's fans to riot. Chime had a lot of fans now, and none of the StarWeb's music hosts could compete with it. Before Lin Yuan could comfort Chime, he suddenly saw the shelves in the room collapsing on the ground in a mess. The wooden parts were broken into pieces, and the iron parts were twisted beyond recognition. Previously, Red Thorn was more than half a meter tall. When it evolved to the elite rank, it directly jumped to 5 meters. This was just the height of the mouth of Relinquish. At that moment, the mouth of Relinquish was like a sphere filled with wrinkles and thorns. The thorns had several mouths, and the dense teeth were exposed. When the rose-shaped digestive cavity had evolved to normal, it had already undergone a metamorphosis. Now, it had grown another 8 organs that were similar to the previous 2 organs, forming a circle of 10. They shrouded the outer layer of the mouth of Relinquish. The roses on the top were the size of a wash basin and looked very demonic. Lin Yuan sensed the changes in the source seed's data. If these 10 flowers were to attack, each flower would instantly spray nearly 5 kilograms of acid. The acid's intensity could even corrode gravel and soil. As for the thorny vines that Red Thorn had previously enhanced, the inner vines were now covered with 5-centimeter-long spikes. There were a total of 16 of them, and they could reach up to 4 meters. When it moved, it could probably tear the opponent into pieces in an instant. Vines up to 6 meters long grew out from the periphery. These vines were the newly grown parts. It didn't seem to be as lethal as the vines in the inner layer. The emerald green vines were covered with 3-centimeter-long barbs. Furthermore, these vines could grow in length during battle. Looking at Red Thorn's new elite skill, Shatter Armor, RIP, Lin Yuan felt that Red Thorn had really evolved into a fae with extremely powerful attacks. Whether it was the 3-centimeter-long spiky barbs on the outer layer of the vines or the 5-centimeter-long spiky barbs on the inner layer of the vines, when it was brandished, it would have the armor-shattering effect. Even a defense-type fae would have its flesh lacerated after a few whips. Not to mention that the spikes were barbed in shape. When the vines pulled, they would tear off a piece of flesh. After evolving to elite grade, the Source Seed Red Thorn already had intelligence. After forming a blood contract with Lin Yuan, Red Thorn had a blood-related closeness to Lin Yuan. Red Thorn extended a vine from the inner layer. This vine was similar to the other vines in the inner layer, but it didn't have spikes. When this vine wrapped around Lin Yuan's wrist, Lin Yuan could clearly feel Red Thorn's intimate emotions. It felt like it was acting coquettishly. Lin Yuan could vaguely feel Red Thorn's thoughts. It felt like when Red Thorn evolved to elite grade and gained intelligence, it had specially evolved the vine so that it could get closer to him. When Red Thorn felt Lin Yuan by its side, it carried a kind of joyful emotion. This kind of emotion quickly infected Lin Yuan. When looking at Red Thorn, Genius, Chimey, and Morbius on his wrist, Lin Yuan felt especially fulfilled. There wasn't any trace of fear in front of the unknown. The more he looked forward to it, the more he had to travel through hardships. After Lin Yuan helped Red Thorn prepare the bronze alien insect flesh, he went on the star web. Lin Yuan was rather apologetic for standing Big Sister Exion up. At the same time, Lin Yuan felt rather regretful that he didn't pick up anything valuable. Right now, Lin Yuan was planning to purchase some inferior energy ores in bulk. Firstly, after nurturing several batches of spirit siphon goldfish, including the 5 fortune ranches, the eggs produced by the female spirit siphon goldfish were almost used up. Secondly, Lin Yuan needed a large amount of pure spirit chi to heal the insect queen. In fact, Lin Yuan didn't think that the insect queen's injuries were difficult to heal. He just needed to provide a large amount of pure spirit chi to keep up with the insect queen's consumption. Given the insect queen's recovery ability, if there was a sufficient supply of spirit chi, it would only need a short period of time to recover. This time, Lin Yuan didn't send a message to Big Sister Exion. Instead, he went to her store. When Lin Yuan arrived at Big Sister Exion's store, he saw that she was inside and quickly went forward. Big Sister Exion, I've been busy for the past 2 days, so I didn't make it to the appointment yesterday to pick the phase with damaged roots. Zhou Jiasin was looking at the bills in the store, and when she saw Lin Yuan, she quickly stood up. Zhou Jiasin had thought about Lin Yuan's absence yesterday. After sending a message to Lin Yuan, she didn't receive any response. After weighing the pros and cons, Zhou Jiasin hardened her heart and only sold a portion of the phase that had arrived yesterday. She kept the best ones. She was thinking that when Lin Yuan came over, there would still be goods for Lin Yuan to pick. Zhou Jiasin was a person who dared to think and act. Since she was certain that Lin Yuan had a creation master backing him, before Lin Yuan clearly expressed his attitude, Zhou Jiasin would do everything that needed to be done. When she was looking at the bills, Zhou Jiasin was rather absent-minded. Now that Lin Yuan came to the store, Zhou Jiasin's heart was completely at ease. When she stood up and didn't look, Zhou Jiasin immediately saw the Class 2 Creation Master crest that Lin Yuan was wearing. Zhou Jiasin had a rather good understanding of Creation Masters. Lin Yuan was such a young Class 2 Creation Master, and it was obvious that there was a problem. Zhou Jiasin couldn't even imagine that Lin Yuan had the resources behind him. Even if Lin Yuan didn't have any resources behind him, a young Class 2 Creation Master like him was worth Zhou Jiasin trying her best to rope him in.